Welcome to episode 52 of the Player 3 podcast. I'm your host, Luke Croft, and alongside me, you all right over there?
Sorry.
We have the always visually stunning Larry Hunt.
Hi.
You're proud of yourself, aren't you?
I'm being Ben.
And then over here, he can fix you a nice, delicious glass of Pepsi and steal your daughter's heart. Ladies and gentlemen, Doug Martin. I hate every single one of you.
That was way more violent than mine.
And then over here, we have Benjamin D. Hankins. The D stands for Destiny.
Duragesic.
Huh?
What?
Duragesic?
Yes. I don't even know what that means. What does Duragesic mean?
That's not a word.
Yeah, it is. I think it's a type of application.
Juggernaut 58 says we have no life.
Yes, we don't.
It's very true.
Juggernaut, let me tell you something about yourself.
We have 4 lives. It's 4 of us, you idiot.
Nobody loves you.
No, we love you.
Yeah, we love it.
And I don't.
All right, moving
your
on. We are the Player 3
don't
podcast.
Matter. You don't matter.
All right.
Why don't you go into a hole? Proceed.
Just do that. Oh, we don't have the click off one.
We are the Player 3 podcast. We get together every Monday to talk about video games, and we do that live over here on twitch.tv/Player3 podcast, and then push it out to you on youtube.com/Player3 podcast and your podcast services of choice.
Services.
Your iTunes, your Podbeans, your Stitchers, your Blueberries, your Blackberries, your Strawberries.
Your iPhones, your apples, your oranges, your pear trees.
Sometimes we transpose the whole
Zune.
thing on BlackBerry. What's the BlackBerry chat called?
We still use fax.
BBM.
We will fax
We
you this podcast.
we fax the monologue of the podcast to whoever requires it.
Juggernaut, I would just like to point out that the views of Seth do not necessarily reflect the views of us at the Player 3 podcast. So.
And you were also the least interesting X-Men villain.
Your mother never cared for you.
Oh, man. All right. Well,
Too dark.
let's get this week started like we get every week started with the releases of the week.
Releases of the week. Clap, clap.
All right. It's a big week in video games. Releasing on both consoles this week, we have Lords of the Fallen Complete Edition. Get hype.
Who?
I'm really glad. This was the game that was going to get a Game of the Year edition because it won Game of the Year in like Sweden or something like that. And I'm really glad they didn't go with Game of the Year edition, just Complete Edition. But no, the big release this week is going to be Call of Duty Black Ops 3. Seth,
Talk to me.
you hyped about this?
Yeah, I'm pretty hyped, but I'm also not as hyped as I should be because I haven't had as much time to play in recent weeks. Bless you. God bless you.
I'm dying.
And plus, I've got Assassin's Creed to finish up still. I'm on like the last 2 memory sequences of that, I think. And I've got Halo 5 Guardians, which I'm loving, but I haven't had nearly as much time as I would like to play with it.
So, no?
Yes, but
Contingent.
in a moderate fashion.
Right. Zephyr Baby says that it's a Dark Souls clone. He's talking about Lords of the Fallen, but I'm going to imagine he's talking about Call of Duty.
Or our next game.
Or our next game, Need for Speed. The reboot of the franchise is releasing this week. This was kind of quiet. And I was very surprised that they decided to do this now. Because wasn't it... What was the racing game that was scheduled to come out last November and then got delayed and did really well? The Crew. Ubisoft delayed it and then it ended up coming out a couple months later and it did really well. I'm really surprised Need for Speed tried to inject itself in the middle of Call of Duty and Fallout 3 next week and Rise of the Tomb Raider, the direct competition of Fallout 3. We'll get to that later.
Gosh, I can't wait till we get to that.
So that's everything that's going to be releasing on both consoles. All right, let's move on to the drop. This is everything that's releasing on the PlayStation 4. All right, and Ryan Clements let me down. He didn't put descriptions in here, so we'll
Because he
just
sucks. We need to make our own up.
Figured out why my coffee tastes
A
weird.
recent news report I read told me that his mother didn't particularly care for him either as a child.
My coffee tastes weird because I actually put cream in it today
and then you didn't refrigerate it.
at 8 o'clock this morning.
Antifreeze.
That'll do it.
It's kind of gross.
All right, releasing on the PlayStation 4 this week, we have Air Conflicts Pacific Carriers.
In air Pacific carriers, you are a
Yeah, they go ahead. Make it up, Ben.
you're an aircraft carrier ship that takes ships to other places, and you let planes fly across you.
Arcade Archives Icky is releasing on the PlayStation 4.
In this game, Icky will allow you to jump from place to place.
All right,
he is afraid of drugs and afraid of garbage.
We have Dragon Fin Soup, which is going to be releasing on PS4.
Your Dragon
and
Fin Soup
also-
comes with wafers. It comes with wafers.
Can you at least let me finish?
Sorry, I'm trying to get it in as soon as I can.
Dragon Fin Soup's actually going to be one of the PlayStation Plus Instant Collection games. We have Evolve Ultimate Edition coming out retail. I guess that's coming out on Xbox as well. I did not overlook that.
All your favorite characters return for this cult classic of a game that impedes the forces of human against the forces of monster.
People will buy this game and then stop playing it after a week, just like
And
the
try to
first
sell
time
it
was
back, and then
released.
realize that it's a waste of money to try to sell it back. So they keep it, and then they let it sit on their shelf and collect
All
dust.
right, you're about to be on a timeout, Ben.
I thought my descriptions were good.
Then we have Indivisible Prototype Beta, the Jackbox Party Pack. Let's see.
Oh, wait,
what
you're
else?
skipping over my
Blah, blah, blah.
descriptions.
Shovel Knight is releasing on retail, so physical copies of that. Poncho is releasing digitally. Then Seth, Get Hype, Snoopy's Grand Adventure is coming out. So
In a world where rogue dog walkers, you see the dog walker steals Snoopy and decides to keep him as his own.
Oh, I was thinking
But
like Scooby for a second.
All the while, Charlie Brown. That's Snoopy's owner, right? Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown.
I think Snoopy's just
him?
rogue.
Then you own
Snoopy just does his
Snoopy?
own thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Charlie decides to go on a manhunt for Penelope, the dog walker, and all kinds of things happen along the way. Like, I'm trying to remember from
What?
where I wrote this game.
What did I miss? When did we start making up
Ryan Clements
descriptions
didn't
for
put the
games?
descriptions in the drop, so.
It's an open door.
But see, she does
Love
all
is
this
an
stuff
open
like.
Ben is
Well, it
speaking
is
at
an
about
open door.
680 words a minute right now. I don't think he realizes it.
Penelope does all these things where like she disguises herself, kind of like Carmen Sandiego, and you have to find her. All while Snoopy's like in the back of a Honda
It's like
Civic,
where's-
like help, help.
It's like Where's Waldo, but just video game.
Hey, Micro wants to know, I love cheese. How about you? Thoughts, Ben?
Me gusta el queso.
Omelette du fromage.
See, the thing about cheese is that it can be good, it can be bad.
Blue cheese tastes like
There's an
vomit.
interesting thing about
You heard me.
blue cheese. What?
Tastes like vomit.
If you really want to be like,
you taste like
intrigued-
vomit.
If you really want to be,
Prove it.
Lost your mind.
and you smell
Taste it.
like poopy.
if you really want to be intrigued by cheese, just start to think that cheese is the molded excrement from milk.
All right. Your PlayStation Plus Instant Collection games for PS4 this month of November, which will be available tomorrow. The Walking Dead Season 2. Whoa. Get hype.
Whoa.
Magica 2, and then Dragon Fin
I
Soup.
haven't played Walking Dead season 2, so I'm excited
Did you play Season 1 on
the Xbox.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna have my trophies and achievements mismatched. But I mean, when you're playing for free,
That's right.
What
That
can you
stuff
say?
doesn't matter.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, man.
Then Xbox announced their Games with Gold starting this month with the upcoming release of the new Xbox One experience and backwards compatibility. All Xbox 360 Games with Gold games will be backwards compatible on the Xbox One.
Mother of God.
So, your games this Walking Dead Season 1 will continue to be free. I think it was free for the last half of November. Then we have Pneuma, which is Greek for spirit.
It always makes me think of that song. It's like Numae,
breath.
Numae.
Then we have Night Squad, a 1 to 8 player chaotic arena friendship destroyer.
Sounds awesome.
Then we have on Xbox 360, which you will be able to download on your Xbox One, Dirt 3 and Dungeon Siege 3. Evil has returned to Ebb.
When did they bring in Castle Clashers?
When they bring in Castle Crash.
They brought it a long time ago.
Did they really for Games of Gold?
Oh
was
wait, I'm
back
thinking
in
of a different
360 game.
I'm
a
thinking
long
of
time
Happy
ago.
Wars. My
That
bad.
game was so amazing that I would pay $20 for it for us all to play it together.
Bam wants to know really quickly what consoles we play on. We haven't really hashed this out as of late, so let's just start very quickly over here. Name the consoles you play on. Larry?
Xbox One.
PS4 and Xbox One.
PS4 and Xbox One and Life. Play the game of Life.
Like
Oh.
what?
Yes. all right.
PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo 3DS.
Oh,
Hopefully
I
soon
also
on
play
Vita.
on Vita. Yeah, I forgot. Sorry. So none of us are PC gamers. So if you're looking for PC gaming news,
Leave.
you're probably not going to find it here. But anyway, those were your releases of the week.
Releases of the week. Clap, clap. Happy birthday, Remy.
You're feeling it today, man.
I am very excited.
How much caffeine did you
None.
have?
I had some Kool-Aid earlier.
How much cocaine did you have
I
today?
had some Kool-Aid, but I put the whole thing in one glass and I mixed it all up, so
Yeah,
it's
there's
mostly.
2 sugar packets in the top drawer of our house, and I don't think the other one was sugar.
That was a cocaine joke. Let's move
Where
on
do
to
you
the
get
news.
prepackaged
It
cocaine?
was just straight up Colombian white cocaine and
Are you aware?
and red dye number 4.
All right, let's move on to the news.
News with the podcast, guys. Happy birthday, Remy.
Oh, that's right.
Today.
It's
No, it was
belated.
last week.
It's belated.
Ben's a terrible person, and he forgot.
Well, I told Larry to tell me what he wanted, but he didn't tell me, so I'm going to do my own thing.
Devious Furball says, okay, sorry, guys. Nothing here from me then. Thanks for being honest, though. Yeah, sorry. I'm sure there's a bunch of awesome people out there doing PC stuff, so go find them.
We
Or
have
if not, just
good
stick around
fun
here.
time, happiness.
Maybe Seth will
Joy.
buy you a console. Who knows? All right, this week was Paris Games Week
Was
over
it?
in France, if you were unaware of where Paris is.
Really?
I think, is that the one that's shaped like a boot?
Yes.
That's Italy.
That's Minnesota. It's flipped upside
Minnesota,
down.
okay.
Wisconsin.
Sony was there in lieu of a Gamescom presentation. They moved it back to Paris Games Week, and so we're going to kind of get 2 conferences that are on top of each other: the Paris Games Week, and then in about 5 weeks in San Francisco, we'll have PlayStation Experience. And so we all got a chance to watch it, right? Did you watch it?
I didn't watch all of it.
But you watched part of it.
All I watched was the VR stuff.
Okay, you watched all of it. You watched most of it.
Some chunks.
And I watched all of it. All right,
all of it.
awesome. Well, let's just have a conversation. I don't want to do like a rundown of all the news that was announced, just because you can go find that on a slew of other podcasts. But just things that jumped out to you, things that seem to be important to you. Ben, kick us off.
Okay, I'm going to say something you probably don't have on here. Yeah, they released a game called Dreams on this.
They haven't released it yet.
Well, I mean, not released, but they showed a. It's pre-alpha, so it's like
Right.
way early.
This is from Media Molecule. So,
Yeah, they did Portal, right?
No, Media Molecule did like Little Big Planet.
Oh yeah. Well, they showed some pre-alpha gameplay of this game, and it was really cool. It's kind of creator inspired. Like you just make stuff out of. Well, there are things that within the game that you can use to create stuff, but it's a lot like Little Big Planet in that you make worlds that people can explore and stuff. But it's a lot more involved than Little Big Planet because people can make a world where you can't edit anything within the world, or they make a world where you can you have full reign to edit stuff. And some of them are puzzles, some of them are races, some of them are like fight things, like little sports games and stuff. It just looked really cool. It's one of those games that looked like it would be neat to just have and come home and not have to get really in depth into, and just do a little quick puzzle or something and have fun with it.
Because Ben likes to sit there on Destiny like Cartman and
Why are you bringing Destiny into this? I was just talking about Dreams.
See, I'm not really. I think I understand a little bit more what it's like, but to me, it doesn't seem like they're really working on creating a game. They're creating the assets for other people to make the game, but it doesn't look like the game is going to ship with something that they have built within it for you to play.
Oh no, it's
And-
all created.
Yeah, and I think of a game like Mario Maker that had levels built into it, and then it's always up in the air. Like when I watch people that are streaming it, if they're not playing ones that they've went on some forum to look up which ones were good, or but if they're just trying to randomly upload them, only about half of them, if it's even that good a chance, are good. And so I worry about a game like this where there is so much creativity of how much of it is going to be enjoyable to play. And I think the concept of it's just weird in general. I think it can be cool, but it's really dependent on the creativity of the community that gets behind it. And until they can do a good job of really explaining like what it is that you do and how you do it, I don't know how big that community will be when it releases. It seems really niche.
For me, it's just like it's just a huge sandbox of just, and I love sandboxes. It's just a huge thing like you can do.
what about when you like get the sand all up in your toes and
You can just do whatever you want, really. You don't have to. like there's no constraint. There's not a lot of constraints within the game. So the first thing that popped in my head, like they had this whole happy like, what is that?
Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth and talk about the game.
They had this cool little area set up. It was all happy looking. You had a little like bear person that you guided through this one little place. But the first thing that popped in my head was, how can I make this like a horror dream, like a nightmare, and like people have to go through in this scary environment. Because there's one part you go through and there's like this giant rat man, and he's like huddled over all these books and stuff, and that was terrifying to me. I was like, even though it was just a rat man, it was scary looking. So I want to try to make like scary dreams that you guys have to go through. Of course, you have to have the game for me to make you go through them, but
Yeah.
it would be neat to have make like little like horror puzzles. You have to figure out stuff and things jump out at you and stuff. It'd be crazy.
Yeah, the game didn't grab me, and I think it's cool. It's cool because most of the people I've listened to, you just broke everything, didn't you?
Yeah. Something came unplugged for real.
Oh, yeah. Can you plug that back in? It's probably going to do something crazy. But anyway, thank you. I appreciate it. You're a good person, Larry.
You are a human
Don't
being.
lie.
You have an anchor on your shirt.
The biggest news that came out of this conference, for me at least, and I think for most people, was
That wasn't the biggest stuff to me. I don't know.
No.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
no.
okay.
But I've got several things I want to do, so I just want to start with the biggest one. Is No Man's Sky finally got somewhat of a kind of release
Yeah,
date.
it wasn't-
It was funny. I was watching it live, and at the end of the gameplay trailer that it showed, it went to a black screen, and then it said "coming," and I just knew it was gonna just say soon. But no, it's coming June 2016, which is interesting to me. A lot of people are speculating that this is going to have VR support, and I think the best way to sell VR would be to say that this comes with PlayStation VR.
Well, a lot of people are thinking that maybe what the route is.
Yeah, but I thought the trajectory for when PlayStation VR was going to release was a little earlier in the year. And
Maybe.
so,
I don't.
I wish they would have just kind of picked a date, though. It still seems really transient when they just say it's coming in June. That's one of those games, like, I'll believe it when I have it in my hands. Let me ask you guys this as PlayStation owners. Are you still excited about it?
No.
I was going to say, your excitement now as compared to when we first saw it at E3 a couple years ago.
And I mean, I was never particularly crazy about it, but it looked like something really cool. It looked like something I would drop a cool $40 on. But I don't know. I mean, there's just not enough there to get me hyped about it. And I've got so many things going through my head. Like, we've talked about it before. Is this going to get old really fast? Are these infinite worlds, just going to be kind of rehashes of each other? Maybe one planet is purple, and then you go and 16 hours later in the game you find the exact same planet, but it's blue. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like a classic Watch Dogs syndrome where you hear about the game, 3 years go by, 2 years go by, whatever it's been, and then it's just there.
We've just seen too much of it. Like
Yeah.
we saw it at E3. We saw it again at PlayStation Experience. We saw it again at E3. Then they had the IGN first. Then they went on that big media tour where they ended up going on like Jimmy Kimmel. And at each one of those cross intersections.
Yeah.
At each one of those intersections, we thought that they were going to take the turn and tell us when it was coming, and it never did. And so when it did it at this time, it wasn't excitement. It was more of a, well, finally. Like, finally we have an idea. But it's one of those things, like, whenever I see that color palette jump up when they're showing trailers, I'm like, well, this is just going to be more of the same. You're never seeing anything different. And people are letting their expectations get out of hand for the game, and I'm not sure if they can deliver on said expectations.
Yeah, I'm not really at all convinced about this game. I feel like it's. I mean, it doesn't even look really that great now. Like, just seeing some of the clips, I'm like, it's just kind of looks like an old DOS game. Like, it looks. As far as like the environments and stuff, everything graphically looks really awesome, but just.
I know what you're saying. Like
Yeah.
the style of it, the way things move and such.
It's just weird.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's a let's see. That was some big news. Micro is asking people if they're 6 years old in the chat. Another thing that really jumped out to me was Quantic Dream's new game, Detroit. And
They're not Detroit.
Quantic Dream did Heavy Rain. They did Beyond Two Souls, both releasing to different kinds of reactions to each other. If I understand this correctly, and I'm not speaking out of my own knowledge, this is just what I heard, that there was, in the PS3 times, Quantic Dream showed a few like tech demos of stuff that they may turn into full games. And the concept of this game was one of those things that they showed. And so basically the premise of this is there's like these humanoid android kind of things. And one of them becomes self-aware, wants to live, wants to breathe, wants to experience the world. So she goes out into the world and starts looking around and realizing that all of the other machines are being enslaved by the people. And it's sort of like a turning the trope upside down of like machines taking over man, where this machine looks at man and sees the slavery and bondage that their own kind is being put in. And so the story kind of revolves around that. I thought that was really interesting.
It kind of. Did you ever watch Humans? Any of you guys? The new AMC show. Kind of deals with that a little bit, but it's really cool. And I think this has that girl from The Following in it. Looked like her.
Which one?
Yeah, it was the.
What was her name? Holly? Was it Holly?
She was like the babysitter or something.
Yeah.
I can't think of.
Short-haired
Meg.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
She was
about.
just yeah.
Okay.
I was trying to
She
figure
has
out
a
who
really
she
long
was.
neck.
I was trying to figure out who she was. They're like pretty like. Did Heavy Rain have a celebrity lookalike as the main character for that?
No,
game?
that was something that they brought in for Beyond Two Souls.
Okay. Well, Beyond Two Souls, they did it. Now in this one, they're doing it again. I mean, she's a. I don't know if she's very well known or anything, but I knew who she was.
She's not Ellen Page status, but Ellen Page isn't particularly well known
Right.
now either.
Yeah. I just wonder how the gameplay. Like, I wish they would have shown a little bit more than just the trailer. Like, it's cool that this game is. This game looks really cool as far as the concept, but I don't know what the gameplay is going to be. Like, I didn't get any explanation as to what, like...
It's one thing where, like, the game comes out and it shows gameplay trailer and it says captured with, like, in-engine, which this said, but it was all, like, it was just a long cutscene.
Well, not so much that, is I just don't know what type of game this is going to be.
Oh, it's going to be like any other Quantic Dream game. It's going to be decision-based, quick time events.
Kind of like Until Dawn a little bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
like Until Dawn.
Okay.
Heavy Rain was
Okay.
very much like walk around, talk to people. Make
See, I didn't play
decisions,
either one. I didn't play Heavy Rain or
they're
whatever
they're very narrative driven. It's not like a heavy gameplay experience.
Okay.
So those games are all about stories, and I just think it's such an interesting concept for a story to. Jump
Oh
off
yeah,
of.
absolutely. And immediately knowing that now, I mean, having that in my head, that this seems like a really like. That makes me more excited for this than just seeing the trailer, because the game looks really awesome, and the idea of being created and then like the creation, like fighting against the creators, which is kind of cool to me.
One of the things I want to point out about that I like just in terms of the flow of the conference was how they really set their like the PlayStation exclusive stuff front and center, and it wasn't really all about get this content first on PlayStation. Like they put Call of Duty and Battlefront right at the beginning, kind of got those things out of the way, and said, all right, now let's talk about what we're doing. Let's check up on some of our first-party studios and some of the other third-party stuff that's going to be coming exclusively to us. And it wasn't like, hey, you can get this like in the middle. You can get this Call of Duty map, however long, but it is like a 30-day for all the DLC or something like that. But they got all that out of the way at the beginning, and I really appreciated that because it seemed to be much more about PlayStation and about Sony.
Unlike Microsoft, who probably tote their timed exclusive Lara Croft Tomb Raider at the end of the show.
We have
like
the best
final.
selection of games.
We have the greatest selection. That was so great. That commercial was a little cringeworthy.
Yeah. So, viewers, if you aren't tracking with us, if you haven't seen it, Xbox has this commercial about how this is the best lineup of games in Xbox history.
Is it the one like it shows like Marcus Phoenix and the Master Chief and all them?
Yeah, and it's like
they take turns talking.
It's
No, it's
mostly
just
reboots,
yeah.
sequels.
There's only one original game, and I think the only
Now it was like Forza was on there, Halo 5 was on there.
Tomb Raider,
Rare Replay, and Gears of War.
Yeah, so
was
there were
on
no
there.
original games.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they were original.
But
Halo
no
5 and
new
4.
IPs.
Right.
But no new IPs. Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a funny commercial. But anyway, this conference was so different in the sense of like they were really focusing on this is what you can get only on PlayStation, and I appreciated that. But I do think they took a page out of the Microsoft book because it was all about games. Like we didn't hear about PlayStation View, we didn't hear about powers, we didn't hear about any of that kind of.
We saw a little bit about the walk, but that was just to illustrate
that
VR.
was about VR.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it was still kind of rooted in video games and around the PlayStation 4 ecosystem. And I thought that showed some clear resolve to kind of get back to what it is that makes these consoles great to begin with, which is the games. And I hope we get more of that at PSX.
Yeah.
In PSX, we're going to hear a lot more about, the quirkier things.
And the thing with this conference too, like a lot of PlayStation's like new IP first party games are like really awesome looking, like really really awesome looking, and they start going through their I guess it was the list of exclusive to PlayStation games, and they're just listing off these games, and I'm listening, I'm like, holy crap, like they've got a huge library right now of just awesome games that they put out. And I know one thing. Are we done with the?
Go ahead.
Okay. One thing that one of the things that really jumped out to me, one of the exclusive PlayStation games that we're going to see is the Horizon Zero Dawn. Yeah, that the more I see of that game, the more I get like really excited about it, because we started with very little content and we've slowly progressed into more and more. And now we get a gameplay video here at this conference, and that man, this game just looks really well put together. A lot of the fight mechanics look awesome. Like the crafting and gathering is really cool looking. Like I'm really excited to get my hands on this game.
I think that's one of those games that's reaching that point where I'm like, all right, I don't need to see anything else. Like you've got me sold, because their E3 demo of it was very, very similar to what they showed at Paris Games Week, where you kind of got to see how you go around the environment, and then it ended with seeing something gigantic. And apparently, they were talking about it on PS I Love You XOXO, that tech demo, that's the whole name of the podcast. I got to do it because PS I Love You is a movie.
Yes.
And a book.
But they had a behind closed door demo of Horizon. It's not a book. There's no such thing as books, Seth. All right.
We're in visual media.
There was a behind closed door demo of Horizons, and that was it. So we got to see what they got to see behind closed doors
okay.
in E3, which I thought was pretty cool. But at this point, I'm kind of like, all right, I get the gist of what's going on. You've got me sold. I want to shoot a bunch of dinosaurs that aren't really dinosaurs, some robot dinosaurs.
It's just such a cool like time period to explain, like post-apocalyptic, but like primitive post-apocalyptic.
Post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, it's just so like, I don't know, it's so cool. And I think it's funny. I listened to the after show or whatever the IGN did, like I guess whatever they talked after, and I'm not sure who brought it up, but they were talking about how like this whole nature taking back is like it's coming over everything now. Like we had the whole like futuristic time period where people were having like future war games and all this stuff, and now like the callback to our primitive time is growing back up and more and more prevalent, which I think is really cool.
What's up, Al Dang? Welcome to the stream. I think it's really cool to see how a bunch of minds that aren't related to one another are coming to the same conclusion about what the next step in gaming is. Because right now we've got Horizons, we've got
this wild,
which we'll get to in a second. We've got Far Cry Primal. We've got the Ancestors game, which is being made by the guy from that made Assassin's Creed. We're kind of getting these experiences, like you said. It's more primitive based, and they have their like nuances about them. The Ubisoft game is more of like a narrative driven game that kind of takes you over different periods of history. Far Cry Primal is first person. The Wild game is all about being able to take over the spirit of
like a
other
shaman,
animals,
which looks awesome.
Really cool. And then this game it's not so much about nature taking over, but whatever the backstory is behind these surveillance animals, which is seemingly what they are, because they scan stuff and do all that. And I think it's really, really interesting, just the diversity that we're starting to get in the era of games. And I'm hoping that first-person multiplayer shooters can start to see, like, there's a lane we can all get in that's kind of different. And I want to talk about I know you want to talk about Wild now. I felt like Wild kind of got lost in the mix. It is similar to Horizons in terms of, like, the setting. Now, the premise and the concept is completely different.
Right.
But Horizons was really fast-paced, a lot going on, and I felt like Wild was a lot slower. And it would be impossible to compare to not compare the two with them showing within 20 minutes of one another.
Right.
You know, and so when I first saw Wild, I think that was at Gamescom last year. I was like, all right, that looks pretty interesting. But then this year I was like, no, that's not really hitting all much.
Yeah, I agree that I feel like if they were if it was played before Horizons, it would have had a lot more pop probably. I really like this game though. I went into it. I saw your part in the show notes, and I went into it thinking, oh, this game's going to suck, because you had said how much it overshadowed Horizons did over it. And I I kind of started it. I was like, this kind of looks weird because they're moving kind of weird. I was looking for all the flaws in it. But then when I stopped trying to find, like, the bad stuff and just started letting the trailer happen to me, it was really – it's a new mechanic that I don't think we've explored that much in gaming. Like, it was just really neat to, like – have this ability to call in a hawk and then to, like, take control of its spirit and do stuff with it, and, like, go steal a snake and have to go find this snake divinity to be able to do snake stuff. I don't know. It was just really neat. And there was a point in the trailer when you take control of these, like, crows, and you bring the crows down into this cannibal area to, like, distract the cannibals, and you ride a bear in there and you beat the cannibals up with your bear. I was like, how awesome would it be?
Bare hands.
Yeah. Seriously, it's your bare hands. How awesome would it be to attack things with a bear? Like,
I think you've sold Larry on this game.
Yeah. I'm all about riding bears into battle.
Just like the leader, Putin.
Right. the more
Glorious leader.
However, the more I think about this game, like, it looks really awesome, and the more I, like, digested what you do, I don't know that you're really going to be doing much more than just finding different animals and doing different things with different animals. Like,
do you need more?
Oh, I can't show this picture. There's man nipple in it.
it's like a zoo tycoon, only there's no zookeepers. It's just you controlling the animals.
Yeah, I don't see how it's at all like Zoo Tycoon. At all.
Was he comparing this to Zoo Tycoon? I was too busy looking at Putin riding that bear.
It is
I was
kind
too
of
distracted by
it is
Putin's
kind
nipples.
of like you should look up a picture of that with Nick Cage as the face. I bet they have that. It's just so good.
Continue
Cage
on.
on
But
Putin's body
Continue
riding.
explaining how this is like a game it's not
But
like.
well, I mean, it's just for me. I don't know where the like. Is there progression? Is there a good progression system? Like, can you get better? Can you control better animals the more you know as a shaman? Like, do you heal people? Like, how does it? I know in the start of this trailer, like, somebody is bitten by a snake, and you have to go talk to the snake divinity to figure out either how to heal them or how to control snakes. And, like, that's cool, but what's the cap on the animals that you can control? And, like, is there going to be a story?
Like, literally, if there's a fish in the river, you can control the fish in the river. Like, you can take control of whatever. You
just made it way cooler to me than now.
What's that?
You just made it way cooler to me than.
Yeah, the concept of it is really cool. But if I understand it, that game correctly, it's a lot of, like, make your own story kind of thing. Like, he was kind of making up his own story as he went along. It wasn't really built into the game. You just take control of it, you know.
And aimless for me is not great. Like, I mean, I like it, but to an extent. But I don't want to play a full game that's not aimless. I mean, I don't want to play a full game that's aimless.
Yeah, my life is already pretty aimless. I don't want to replicate it in a video game.
Unless it's something like you're constructing stuff, like Minecraft or like this Dreams game we talked about earlier. Like, those aimless games are kind of cool. Oh my goodness.
There's a giant spider over there. Kill it. That's the worst idea you've ever had. got to watch that here.
He confronted his fears of.
The fourth Doctor had the scarf.
That was really.
You took off like a bolt of lightning. That was majestic.
I think he's traumatized.
Why would a good god make spiders that big?
And now Larry gets fired.
Oh man,
I got the shivers.
that thing was.
You
huge.
have humongous spiders now. Like they're gonna eat
I
us
don't
one
want to
day.
live in the.
Aragon's gonna come out of your
Be
bathroom.
here.
Aragon's gonna come out of your bathroom and eat us.
Everyone
one day.
is shocked that you came back from that. They thought you were going to get eaten. It was horrible. It was bigger than the ones from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Yeah, Aragorn. Yep.
Aragorn, is that who it
That's
is?
his name.
The sandals
Aragog.
just bounced off of him.
I think it's Aragorn.
He lifted
That's
the
what it
sandal
was.
up.
Good thing we had this
That was a man.
broadsword hanging
Maybe.
over here to cut his legs off and then.
We
stab
did have a
him.
broadsword, yes. But anyways, this is a cool looking game. It may be surprising to me the amount of playtime I would get out of it, but I don't know if it's going to be a game that I buy. It may be a game that I like rent and play, like if it's in Redbox or something.
Right.
I just can't see getting a lot of playtime out of this kind of game. But terrible segue. We're going to talk about. There's another really big thing that happened at this conference. We got a lot of information about something that we've been waiting for a lot of information about. That's PlayStation VR.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Which of that information was not a price or a release date.
right, speculatory prices and speculatory release dates, but
We didn't get
nothing
either of
concrete.
those either.
Well, we can speculate.
Yes.
Correct.
As human beings with brains,
Correct.
we are capable of speculating.
So I'm gonna take over host duties of this for a second. What were your guys's what were your
I'm gonna take
I'm the host now.
what did you guys think was one of the cooler things that we saw with the VR stuff?
See, that was the thing. I was very unimpressed. Like, there was nothing that stopped me that I was like, oh.
I was unimpressed overall. I was interested to see the fact that there were experiences like that, the walk kind of interactive thing with the movie where you could walk the tightrope between the buildings, and it made me think about those conversations we had about just kind of doing the mall simulation rides, like where you could go shark diving in a little cage and see some barracuda fly by. Barracuda.
Heart.
Or you could go to a Heart concert if you want to, or go and tour the Louvre. I was interested to see that. So it's kind of telling me that stuff's going to happen.
Oh, no, I had no doubt that we were going to get those sort of experiences like that. But is that enough to get me excited about buying a
Absolutely not.
whole new piece of technology, And there's no one better to march out there than Shuhei, because he seems so nice. And, I want to buy one just so that Shuhei can be happy.
Even speaking in that angry tongue.
What?
Japanese just sounds
here
so
we
angry.
Oh my god.
Here we go. The marked right-hand
It's not
side
racist.
of the
I just
How is that not racist?
it just sounds angry. It's like German language. Like German the German language sounds angry.
Let's just be racist towards everybody at this point.
It's everybody. It's not racist.
Everybody but America.
Oh my gosh. Anyway,
It's like they're yelling at me.
Well, then they probably are yelling at you.
you deserve it. Dang it! I lost my train of thought now. Forgot what I was gonna say.
I really like the
Blame the Germans.
I really like the mechanized combat league they led with.
It's called Rigs.
Well,
Rigs.
I thought it was mechanized combat league. I didn't know it was
It's
called
called
Rigs.
There was a whole lot. Speaking of that, Riggs, there was a whole lot of crap in that montage of shooter mech scenarios that they all look the same to me.
That game didn't look interesting to me, really.
The only it looked cool. For me, the only thing that I didn't really like was I saw glimpses of the guy holding the PlayStation Eye controller things.
Right.
And I was like, okay, to play this game, you have to own two of these things. You have to.
It comes with two.
Does it come with two?
When you have it has
Oh,
two.
see, I never owned one, so I didn't know that it came with two.
Yeah.
But still, I don't know how well you would feel because you're not attached. It's very independent in your hands.
Yeah.
So.
For those that are unfamiliar with what Riggs is, it's a mechanized like arena first person shooter kind of thing. It's a mixture between a first person shooter and sort of like a basketball kind of a concept. Maybe I think they're really trying to catch the lightning in a bottle that Rocket League. Not that they saw Rocket League and were like, we're going to develop this game now, but very similar feels to it. Let me ask you this: within how they advertise the VR. Do you feel like they did an adequate job? Like that's the hardest part, and we talked about that time and time again with this. Is like getting people to see and really realize what you're capable of doing with this thing. How do you feel like they did?
I thought they did better than they were going to. Like, I thought they did better than my assumptions that they would do were. Is that a better way to word that?
They exceeded your expectations.
Correct. Yes. Because there were times I found myself like saying, "This is going to be awesome." Like I could like see myself moving with what they were doing and like imagining myself having this piece of hardware. Like it's really neat to when they are able to capture that. Now speaking of that, I don't think there's a lot of the stuff they did was kind of it was okay. Like we got to see people fake walk a tightrope. I would like to have seen if they could have like shown what it look like inside the mask or whatever from the people saw that were walking on the tightrope. That would have been neat. Like, but they just put a bunch of like words and flashed them up on the screen. Hear the wind, see the height. Like I just wanted to kind of see it, and it would have been neat to do that. But
that's something that was difficult about all of these games, really. Even the ones that showed you what it looks like, it's still like it's something that we don't know what it's really like until we get to experience it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of tricky. It's a tricky thing to hype, because even Riggs, like, it looked pretty basic, but I'm sure like inside the cockpit of that thing, it's a little bit different than watching it from the outside.
Yeah.
Well, and kind of speaking, I'm going to get a little bit off topic here, but I'll promise I'll come right back.
I don't believe you.
The augmented reality software or the hardware that Xbox is going to put out, that's so like augmented reality is so much easier to advertise because you can say this will be projected onto this. Like I wonder if that's making that too easy to advertise and it's like overhyping it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, one of the most pointless things that happens, and Microsoft does this a lot at their E3, and we got a little bit of it even at the Paris Games Week thing from Sony, is when somebody is playing the tech demo on stage and they cut away from the actual game to show them, and they're just holding a controller. Like, they would do this all the time with, I think not this year's Microsoft presentation, but the year before, they did it constantly. And it's like, there's really no point in that. But with VR, if they can show you, like they can have the people doing the tech demo down in the corner and then the screen being what's projected on there so that you can see, like when they move their head, the camera moves that way.
Yeah.
I think that would have been a better way of doing it rather than kind of that computer-generated VR set on the front of their faces like during Riggs.
Right.
The shout casting in Riggs was horrible.
Yeah, that was really dumb.
Really, really cheesy. So I just... I feel like they did an okay job. I think at PSX we're finally going to get a release date and a price for this thing, and I think that's when we're going to start seeing like the nitty gritty of people showing us how this thing is going to be applied, how it's going to work.
Well, we also don't know like what you're going to have to buy in conjunction with this. Like, I thought it was an interesting point that IGN again brought up after the thing was if this is like a $350 piece of equipment and you can play games on it that it's in lieu of your TV, even if it's not a virtual reality game, it'll project it on the screen of the mask. I mean, it's not a bad investment anyways. I mean, you look at TV costs right now. If you want a decent sized TV, you're going to pay that $350, $400, upwards $500-$600 for a nice brand TV. So depending on what you need to make this system work, like that could really play into how well they sell these too, because if you need to buy a whole new, I'm pretty certain you're going to have to buy a PlayStation to use this. But if they can eliminate that, like having to buy a PlayStation,
you have to have a PlayStation.
Okay, well, that's a
Milky 513.
Never mind.
Milky 513 says a Sony VP was quoted as saying people won't get it until they actually see it. So Sony is putting together a plan to put the VR helmet in key locations such as Best Buy or GameStop. all throughout the country so people can actually get hands-on. He was quoted as saying word of mouth is how they want to spread the news that their VR helmet is fun to play. Absolutely. But if you're going to take time, if you're going to take 10 minutes, 15 minutes out of your conference to show it, you need to show it in the most effective way possible. And I just didn't feel like they did that.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. If this thing's sitting at a GameStop, it's not going on my face.
Right.
You know? Like,
I'll put it on.
I'll put it on.
I'll tell you what it's like.
I just...
I'm not.
We'll take some bleach wipes. We'll clean that thing up.
Here's the thing, dude.
Just rub it in my eyes.
The majority of germs, you got to get the germs in your system so your body can fight the weak ones.
See, everyone says that, but then everyone else gets sick, and I never do. And I wash my hands every 30 seconds.
I get sick, but then I never get sick from the same thing twice.
That's not true.
It's not true.
You also work at a greasy restaurant where the germs are scattered throughout
The grease.
What?
the grease.
I'm saying the germs are surrounded by everything. Like I'm surrounded by germs at all times, but I remain well.
There were we talked about any other gyms that you guys can think of from the VR standpoint, games that you saw that looked interesting.
I need
'Cause
to-
there's
I
a couple
need to- I need
duds,
to
too.
reiterate this though. Like the people that say that they need to boost their immune systems by getting germs. Like I had a friend that said that to
my
me.
goodness.
Oh, the one and only Michael. Mary brought me, man.
Can I just say this really quick? The pacing of this show has become Seth says nothing until he has a story that has nothing to do with video games.
Absolutely. But he used to poop and not wash his hands. And then like cook food for people and stuff like that. And I would fun and be like, "Why don't you wash your hands?" I
heard this
gotta
story.
keep my immune system.
We've told
up.
this story before on this podcast.
Well,
Well, I'm gonna tell it
That's
again
not-
because you said it. Do you poop without washing your hands?
Let
No, I wash
me
my hands.
jump into your story real quick.
Jump in.
I'm one of those guys that's like giving me all the germs, but washing your hands after you poop isn't to protect you from other people's germs; it's to protect other people from your germs.
Oh, I mean, it's protecting yourself and others from germs. Like fecal matter. It's
I'll
not
take
going
your
to-
germs.
Well, I don't really want to eat my
Definitely pink
poop.
And pink eye, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't really want to eat my poop. I'll wash my hands after I poop.
All right. See, you're asking the positive questions,
Yeah, positive.
and there was really nothing that jumped
Well,
out.
not for you. Is there anybody else? I was just
No, I'm
before
just
because
saying-
there's a lot of duds that I saw. And I
liked
wanted to
the
talk about the
spaceship
duds
flying
too.
game. It looked fun.
Spaceship flying.
I'm
game.
lame.
Oh yeah, I can't remember what it was called.
They didn't
That's
really
what I'm
focus
saying.
on
A
it
lot
much. It
of
was in
a
the
lot of them
montage.
looked kind of the same to me. What was that dinosaur game they briefly?
It's called
was
Robinson.
cool.
Here's
Okay.
here's the thing with that dinosaur game. How do you like the Ghost ripoff that they had in the
Everything
dinosaur
does.
game?
I mean, all kinds of games.
Well, it's
do
the
that.
Ghost / Portal ripoff because you had like a Portal Guardian or the Portal guide in there that took you around.
Well, you
and
could
showed
also
stuff.
say 343 Guilty Spark was first, but then you could also say that Navi in Legend of Zelda was first.
You were just
Yeah, but
being
the-
put on QT right now.
but the-
so I
but
would,
Navi
I would
was
just
replaced-
suggest you observe it.
Navi
He's
was
just a
replaced by
big
a bunch of different other things.
non-hand washing pooper over here.
Navi turned into like a hat, and the hat was like this little wizard guy that sold you stuff.
No.
Yeah, it was different. You had different guides in that game. It changed from game to game.
Oh, game to game.
Yeah,
Still.
not the same game. Hey. Anyways,
Yeah, I mean that looked interesting, but that was all. I mean that wasn't gameplay. That was just
oh, was it just CG? I thought it was gameplay. Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So
That Until Dawn thing sounds pretty stupid. Also,
Shout
Yeah,
out to Zephyr for this
th-
flattering screenshot that he got. It's, thanks, buddy.
what did the Until Dawn thing? Yeah, that made no sense to me. And here's the thing, like VR just doesn't make sense to me when it's not first person, which the Until Dawn thing is going to be first person. So on the one hand, some things didn't make sense to me because it's like Tekken is going to have VR support.
yeah.
And that's a side scroller.
But I mean, the same respect, like when I was talking about, if you don't get a TV and you use this as your TV, like
Who is doing that?
I don't know, man, that'd be kind of cool, don't you think?
Just imagine sitting there like a whole family just with their VR headsets on.
Or you could just be on the couch.
Literally nobody's gonna.
Here's
do
the
that.
thing, like my wife's playing
Kids in
TV.
dorm
My
rooms.
wife's playing want to watch TV. I'll sit in the living room with her while she watches TV, and I'll play on my VR headset.
I just
That's no one's wife is gonna do that. They're gonna be like, "Hey, look at this," and then she's gonna take her headset off and make you take your headset off and put her headset on you, and then your headset's
Wait,
gonna be.
I don't
over
think you
here.
understand what I'm saying.
He's not saying that she's watching the VR on.
Oh, what's
I'm
she
saying
doing?
she's using the TV and I'm using the VR as my TV.
Okay.
But the Until Dawn thing doesn't make sense to me because they are doing something completely opposite of what that game is. Like that
Yeah.
game is all about choices and going from point A to point B, talking to people, and it's all third person. You can see your characters, you play as different people. Then they slap the Until Dawn name on it, which is only a month and a half old at this point, 2
Yeah.
months old. You know, it's not like this is some established awesome. It's not like Halo or
Right.
like something that I guess I could have come up with a PlayStation example. But regardless, like
Nathan Drake.
and then they stick you in the head of this thing, and then it's an on rails adventure. Like literally, you're in a cart being driven down this thing, and it becomes a first person shooter, and it just made no sense to me.
Do you know what this kind of draws my mind to, though, that I think should make a comeback on this VR system?
Parappa the Rappa.
On-rail shooters.
what? Unreal shooters.
On-rail shooters.
On-rail shooters.
So, like, you know, like the old, like, zombie Night of the House of the Dead games you used to play in the arcades when it, like, took you places and you had to shoot stuff.
That's kind of like
What
what
was-
was Until Dawn was supposed to be, right?
And I would be better with it if it wasn't Until Dawn.
Do you remember the Aerosmith one?
I don't want to close
No.
my eyes.
There was one of those on-rail shooters where you were trying to save Aerosmith,
I don't remember that.
and so like my mom was like, this was back in the day before she found Jesus, and so
Where was he?
I don't know. He's a good hider, but
Oh, my goodness. That's really sacrilegious.
so my mom bought this game for me, and like I remember
Revolution X.
Yes. So I remember the second level. There are all these girls trapped in these cages. They've obviously been taken prisoner. But then I went back and played it as an adult. And I'm like, oh, this is a strip club. My mom's not great back in 1993 or
Did you ever? Did anyone here ever play emo game?
emo game?
Yeah.
No.
Was it
I'll have to
emotional?
Yeah, this
no,
game
no,
was
it
so
wasn't.
awesome.
I can't really talk about the plot of it on the
Throw that on.
podcast.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
I'll
it's
have to
gonna
look it
just
up.
take it a
I
second
wanna see
because
it.
we restarted. Just bear with us. It's gonna come up. Here we go. It's the
Yeah.
on-rail shooters. So why did Aerosmith find itself in this predicament? Did they get kidnapped at the strip club?
These people just really hated rock and roll because it was just too edgy, and you had to.
So they're
you
going
were
to
trying
kill him?
Save rock and roll.
Oh gosh, the bartender got real scared. There's no way he's surviving this.
They're going to kill
It's a
him?
really strong
Okay,
bar. Oh, it's metal. It's got metal behind it.
the rock and roll is too edgy. So to combat the edginess, they're going to kill...
The man was trying to keep us down and take away our revolutionary spirit. Like
by
at one
killing
point-
us.
At one point, they
Way more
they
edgy.
kidnapped all these kids on a school bus, and school's out
For
forever.
summer?
Yeah, that was playing, and you gotta stop this school bus.
School's
save the
been blown to
children.
pieces. You playing Alice in Chains during this Aerosmith game?
Huh?
All right,
back to VR. Yeah, the on rails idea, I guess, but like I said, my problem with it was slapping Until Dawn on it.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
You've already got this fresh IP that did really well, and now you want to confuse the market as to what it is.
Right,
and
yeah,
So you
yeah.
make it a first person on rail shooter. Doesn't make any sense.
I used to throw money at those things. Loved them.
It worked better if you put it in the slot.
Yeah.
Dude,
Every once in a while, I'm willing to fall in there.
Dude seriously just made a comment and broke my heart. He said, I remember when I had a group of friends who played video games. Now you have a new group of friends who plays video games. Hit that follow button. All right.
that wasn't patronizing at all. You came across as genuinely caring.
You do. We will be your friend. I'll play with you.
What do you play? What do you play, dude? Seriously?
If you play Xbox
let's
or
go on the
PlayStation,
chat.
we'll play with you.
There was something else that. Oh, dude, I didn't put it in the show notes. Housemark, the people who made Resogun, they're making Alienation, and then they showed, and it just slipped my mind. Something Matter.
Oh yeah. It's like you transform your arm and stuff, and like
Yeah.
little red things attack you. Is it Shift
Matterfall.
Matterfall. Yeah.
Yes, it. That game looks awesome.
It goes really cool.
Housemark. Did you play Resogun?
Oh yes, dude. I played the
play
crap out of
Resogun?
Resogun.
That game was a lot of fun. And
It looks a lot like Prototype. You ever play Prototype games?
I love Prototype.
That game was a lot of fun. Like when you had like this. I guess you were you experimented on
Yeah.
by the government or something.
Yeah.
You could like your arm could turn into like shields and like throw stuff. It was kind of like Infamous too, a little bit. Not
well, let's be clear about what this game's going to be. Like, Housemarque makes arcade shooters, and that's what this is going to be.
Yeah.
It was just a really cool, like, CG trailer for it, and I get excited about the stuff that they...
Well, it's probably going to be like a red guy versus a blue guy, and that's, like, what you do. I would
Well, and it'll probably have, like, a similar art style, but that's not going to be the gameplay for that game.
Sure,
but anyway, I didn't put that in the notes.
It did look really awesome though, that CGI trailer.
What did you think about the VR stuff?
Like I said, I wasn't super impressed, and that's not because it's not super impressive. It's just because I don't know how you present it in a way that shows me what it's like. Yeah. I'm excited to try it out, but right now I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
Let it go.
All right. Well, overall, with what you watched of it, don't necessarily give a grade, but how do you feel like it went? Well, just overall whole thing. Let's start with Ben.
I think it went really good. I think they accomplished what they set out to do. I got really excited about PlayStation. Like, I got really excited about a lot of the exclusives that we have and a lot of the stuff that's coming up next year. And I'll steal another statement that that IGN said after the post game or the post show. I think we had a lot of talk about like the Uncharted 4 coming out, and that whole that's the big thing that's coming next year. But I think they did a really good job of and I agree with what they said. I think they did a really good job of showing us more than just Uncharted 4 for next year, and we get to see a little bit of everything that we get to look forward to next year. So I think they did a good job. I got really hype again. And like I'll say later on in this show, it's making me more and more want to sell my Xbox. So,
Did you give a grade to it?
No,
we don't want to give a grade.
Okay, never mind. Because I was gonna pull a bit and give 2 grades because I felt like this show overall was put together very well. Usually, these Sony conferences tend to be just like 30 seconds of gameplay or a trailer, and then like 10 minutes of
housekeeping.
Pretty much, yeah, like just 2 guys talking about something. So I think this is really dynamic. It was really well put together. At the same time, I'm just conferenced out this year, just from watching E3, from watching Gamescom footage, from watching all the big shows. This is the last one of the year, right?
We still have PSX.
I thought that was in February.
No, it's in December.
Okay, whatever.
I think we've had this.
I'm just probably but I've just seen so much of the same things so many times that I'm not getting exactly as excited for video games as I was back in June, when the conference season is just kind of getting together. I don't know. I've got fatigue.
Yeah, that's a feeling a lot of people are getting. The question across podcasts back at Gamescom especially was, are there too many of these things? Are there too many of these conferences? And I think it's like the No Man's Sky thing. You see something that you're excited about too much, and you're no longer excited about it. And we may be falling into that. But there are things that weren't even shown at this conference that we know are in the works. And we've got Rhyme, that game that looks a lot like Zelda, that's coming to PlayStation 4.
There was another game I wanted to mention that I just realized.
Go ahead.
Well, for some reason, Ryan brought it to my head. That Avicii game, the rhythm game.
Oh yeah.
I wonder how that's gonna work. They didn't show a lot of it, and it's like I guess it's like a beat game. I don't know.
It was more of like a you create, and we're starting to see kind of that concept come to fruition. More of like you create the game. We give you the assets, you make the game. What's that?
All the developers are lazy.
Yeah. Let's see. We got some stuff here on VR that I want to read. Zephyr Baby says, "I'm the same on VR. I think if I do pick it up, it will be on a massive discount in the bargain bin." Dude seriously says it's a gimmick. And then Milky513 echoes a sentiment I've been sharing ever since PlayStation VR was announced. He says, let's just tell it like it is. Sony has an absolute atrocious track record when it comes to supporting their peripherals. They abandon them without second notice, and they don't hold up to the test of time. Why would anyone want to invest over $100 in a VR headset when 4 months down the line it might get dropped like a hot rock? And I absolutely agree with that. And we say this all the time. You had PlayStation Move, you have PlayStation Vita, you have PlayStation Eye, PlayStation Camera, PlayStation View, PlayStation Now. We're getting into services, not peripherals here. But all things that have launched from Sony that you never hear anything out of. we had an hour and a half conference where we didn't hear a single word about the PlayStation Vita. Not even here's 5 indie games that are coming, or not even mentioning the ability to remote play or doing anything like that. Like, there's no support of this peripheral. That's why I am unwilling. It's not that I don't believe in the technology or that I don't believe in the concept of the technology or the application of it or the experiences that you can have through it. But it's just that I don't want to have a piece of hardware that's sitting around that has nothing new coming to it. Now, one of the things that Shuhei did say is that there are over 220 developers working on developing games for PlayStation VR in their launch window, which is a lot more than PlayStation Move, which had like 35. So we can have a little bit of confidence in that, but it's one of those things. It's what comes first, the chicken or the egg, because people aren't going to want to buy it unless there are games on it, and game developers aren't going to want to develop on it unless there are people who own it to play on it, unless there's an install base for it. And so what we're ultimately going to end up getting is things that can be played with a controller on a television screen that aren't necessarily tailored specifically for virtual reality. Like, hey, come play Tekken 7 on PlayStation VR. Oh, that's the one thing I did not mention. Was the one thing that made the most sense to me was Gran Turismo Sport being VR.
Oh yeah. I was wondering when you're going to bring that up.
Yeah, being in the driver's seat of a car going 210 miles an hour, like, that's what I want. That seems really, really awesome to me because I'll never drive that fast, but I can in VR.
Well, didn't they do like a partnership with FIA or something? I'm not sure what FIA is.
Essentially, what's going to be happening is they're going to have 2 championship circuits that are running simultaneously. One where you race for your country, and then one where you race for your favorite car maker. And those are just going to be simultaneous all throughout the year, running with a leaderboard saying, "Hey, this country's in the lead," or this maker's in the lead. That's as much as I understand about cars. There was a white car, a blue car, and a red car, and they were going really fast. And none of them were Kias.
PlayStation VR.
Did
PlayStation
Any
VR.
of them have wheels?
Yes, 4 for the most part. Another thing, and I keep thinking of stuff. Drive Club being
Gosh,
successful.
seriously.
I want to give some credit where credit's due here. They had an abysmal launch a year after they were supposed to launch, but they recovered enough to where they are able, like that. It's considered a successful game at this point. They've shipped a whole lot of copies of it. And to be successful enough to be able to stand up and say, "Hey, we've been working on this thing. Go download it now."
Yeah, that was kind of
that's really cool.
But Drive Club bikes.
Yeah, Drive Club bikes.
I don't know. I just don't.
That's very popular.
Yeah, I
Other
guess that's
places.
true. I guess that's
Other
true.
places.
Yeah.
All right. For me, I thought it was good. Like I said, I feel like they were really focused on games. I thought there was only a couple times where it got really awkward. The Street Fighter V Tekken stuff, that was all weird.
Stupid. That was so dumb.
Thing. But for the most part, it was very focused, and that was really the only time where I was like, all right, come on, move on. And it got me excited about PSX and about what they're gonna bring and announce and some of the changes, because we'll start to hear more about like maybe some firmware updates. We'll probably hear some stuff about Vita there, and it'll be good. I won't ask you what your overall thoughts were, but if you have any, feel free to share them.
No, I don't think I watched enough of it to give a fair assessment.
All right, awesome. Well, see you, Zephyr. Jelly Donut. He lives over in England,
Zephyr.
so it's late for him. All right. Let's move on to some news that is not related to Paris Games Week.
I'm so
here.
pumped about this. That's what we're doing.
All right. You can buy. Oh, I got redirected to something.
That's YouTube.
Oh, it went to YouTube. I put the wrong link in here. It's supposed to go to this article. Bethesda has teamed up with Jones Soda for the Nuka-Cola Quantum Soda. It's from Michael Martin over at IGN. Fallout 4 developer Bethesda has teamed up with Jones Soda Company to produce Nuka-Cola Quantum, available exclusively at Target. The official Fallout Twitter account tweeted the announcement along with an image featuring the bottled neon blue soda, which will be available November 10th, the same day Fallout 4 releases. That's crazy. That's next week.
I know, dude. I'm
Here
so
it is.
pumped. I'm going to buy a ton of this soda. I'm going to buy a crap ton of Fallout 4s.
It's interesting that it's called a cola, but it's blue.
Yes.
It's Nuka-Cola.
Nuka-Cola.
Quantum.
It's been exposed to a tremendous amount of radiation.
Remember that blue Pepsi they had? What's up with that?
Pepsi Blue. People hated it.
All right, let's finish the article.
They stopped carrying it.
What? What did you say to me?
So let's read the article.
Jelly Donut, feel free to post a question. We'll get to it when we can. I think this is cool. I'm not really familiar a lot with a lot of the lore of Fallout, but having something like you can go out and buy that's not tied to a pre-order and it's not tied to some special edition that you can go get, and Jones Soda's awesome anyway.
Oh,
I never got around to trying the True Blood. You know how they came out with True Blood
I didn't know
along
that.
with the show? Yeah, well, True Blood's off now, but you could go to like FYE and places like that, little memorabilia stores or stores with memorabilia sections, and they would have it's like a blood orange soda.
Nice.
It looked great. I never bought a bottle though. It was like $10.
Ugh.
$10 a bottle?
I don't know. It was expensive.
Oh my gosh!
It was
I hope it's not.
expensive.
This isn't
Why?
that expensive.
See, I didn't realize that Jones Soda was back because they went on hiatus for a while, and I was in Kroger a few weeks ago with my wife and saw it on the shelf, and I'm like, I gotta get some of that cream soda. They got clear cream soda.
It's very pure.
It's delicious.
There's not it's not complex. It's a very simple soda.
I wonder if
It's
this
like
will.
it's like if Larry drank only cream soda for 3 months and then peed out cream soda.
That's what
His peak would be very,
what it is.
very, very,
Very
dark
refined.
yellow.
Very
very dark
refined.
yellow. I wonder if this will give you grad poisoning.
probably not.
Drinking it, you get radiation poisoning and
Drink it.
Fallout
Drink it.
Be realistic, Ben. I don't mean that.
So what are some other other merchandise things that were tied to a game or just some sort of media that you really liked, you really enjoyed?
I couldn't think of a thing.
I had a hard time thinking of things.
I always really get really excited about like when have they done it for Halo 5 with the Mountain Dew this year?
I don't know.
The orange citrusy whatever it's called, game fuel.
Yeah.
They usually do it for Call of Duty and for Halo. Maybe they'll do it with Call of Duty comes out this week. I gotta go to Walmart. But yeah, I like those things because there's something that's not out very often and it's directly tied to video gaming. It's game fuel. It's fuel for your gaming.
When I was a kid and the Matthew Broderick Godzilla movie came out, they had the green popcorn. I was all about that
Oh, did they?
popcorn.
Was purple ketchup tied to?
I think it was
it
just a
was just
thing,
a-
like purple
yeah.
sunscreen.
I remember purple ketchup though.
Yeah, good stuff.
They had green ketchup too, didn't they?
Yeah.
Was it the Hulk? Purple and green ketchup?
No, it was just gross.
Jelly Donut wants to know, why doesn't Fallout have co-op? Has
That's a
Fallout
good
ever
question.
had co-op?
Nope.
I don't think every game needs
Wait.
to have.
Do the old ones, the old ones have them?
I
Have
don't
it?
think. And that's the question a lot of people asked about the Elder Scrolls games as well, and it led to Elder Scrolls Online, which was,
Abysmal.
I think, not what a lot of people were hoping for when they asked for being able to co-op an Elder Scrolls game. I don't think they wanted I didn't want an MMO. I wanted to be able to run through a pre-programmed world with my friends.
Right. Yeah, and I think for a game like Fallout, with the world being so big, dropping 2 people into that world, I don't know if he's asking about local co-op or what.
Yeah.
Like, if you were ever dreaming this game would have local co-op, that was a pipe dream to begin
It's
with.
a little tougher when you have such a big world too,
Yeah.
like just to get 2 or 3 people in there because you could. I imagine having it would be kind of troublesome to have someone like your friend try to run as far away from you as he possibly can, and still kind of generate. I don't know all the technology speak in terms of what, but like have one person over here and one person all the way over here. It seems like that works a lot better with like kind of a smaller,
And more
kind of
linear.
streamlined area.
All right, moving on.
Butterbeer. That's the other thing.
I'm never. You didn't like it though, right? Who
I
didn't
loved
like
it.
You
Here's
didn't.
the thing. I didn't like it because I didn't get the frozen kind. I got because I wanted to get the authentic looking kind. So I got it in a beer mug, and I got it like with the sugar foam on top. We were in Universal Studios though. I got to add a Universal Studios card in Harry Potter World, which is really cool. But actually, I was in Hogsmeade too, which is where you get butterbeer.
Yeah.
So that's where I was. But I rode the train to Hogwarts too, which is really cool.
They didn't have that when I went.
But it was 1,000,000,000 degrees outside, and I was already like super sweaty and hot. And it's just, if you don't know it, the butterbeer is just like a butterscotch soda kind of thing, and it was slightly warm, and it was like sugar milk cream on
That
top
scene,
with the.
that scene in Anchorman where he's drinking the milk in the phone booth.
It was
This
gross.
a bad choice.
It was disgusting. It was really, really bad. And I think I would have liked it if I would have been in a cool environment. But
See, when I went, it was in March in Florida, and it was the perfect weather. I had the frozen one. It was 70 degrees. The drink was probably 30, and it just went down. So
the frozen one would have been good, I think. But the
It was delicious.
other was gross. I had to dump it out. I kept the mug though. I still got it at my house.
All right, next item on the list. Aaron Greenberg, Rise of the Tomb Raider can stand against Fallout 4. Quote, we hope people will buy both. End quote. This is from Dual Shockers. Reads, Crystal Dynamics' Rise of the Tomb Raider has a tough mission ahead, and that's competing against a veritable onslaught of massive games dropping all around it. Yet, marketing honcho Aaron Greenberg believes that it can stand on its own against a massive competitor like Fallout 4, as he explained in an interview with the good folks at Kinda Funny Games. Quote, we work closely with a lot of our internal studios, for example, with Halo launching, and we talked with Crystal on Tomb Raider. The challenge is that you have to look at the production schedule. You want to make sure that you don't rush the game so that it's not done or of high quality. That is always the number one priority. The challenge with Tomb Raider is if you go a week later, you're against Star Wars Battlefront. If you go a week earlier, you're against Call of Duty's Black Ops 3. And if you go 2 weeks earlier, you're against Halo. And then you go late, and then you're like, well, the consumer doesn't have any money left to buy the game. So there wasn't a better scenario for us except that was the week it was not going head-to-head against Call of Duty or Star Wars Battlefront. We felt like the Fallout audience, they are not direct competitors per se, but you're right. It's two big titles launching at the same time, and we hope people will buy both. We're first party, so we know our dates are. Most teams pick their dates, not knowing what else is going to be there. And once you know, then would you rather launch against Call of Duty, Star Wars, or Fallout? So you just got to launch and stick with the date and feel confident that the game will stand up, and we believe it will. It's a fantastic title. End quote. Ben, I know you've been chomping at the bit. Go ahead.
I just want to take a brief moment to just ponder this statement here. I quote, we felt like the Fallout audience, they're not direct competitors per se. And while that may be true, you were competing against an action RPG game, of which you are an action RPG game.
It's an action game. It's an action adventure game. It's not an RPG.
You're playing as Lara Croft. It's the same thing. It's pretty much the same thing.
No,
You still gain.
No, we need to set this out. Tomb Raider is not an RPG.
Well, it's an action game. Whatever. You still gain resources, and you still have to have those resources to fight things. It's still the same kind of thing. Progression system. It's the same kind of thing.
They're very wildly different.
They're very wildly different.
We've discussed the importance of accurate factual information many times.
Those two different. Those games are close enough together, though, that they are going to draw a similar audience.
Yeah, that's
Do you
fine.
disagree with that?
I
Okay,
agree with that.
they're close enough together. They're going to draw a similar audience.
Right.
You're
I'm
arguing.
just making sure that Tomb Raider is not
Right, it's not an RPG game. Yes, it's not an RPG, but it's close enough in my book.
They're both action games. We can say that.
They're both action games. You are telling me that your action game is going to better match up against another action game instead of two first-person shooters. Now, I understand that Battlefront is everybody's super hyped about it. It's awesome. It's Star Wars. Great, good stuff. I understand that Call of Duty is a huge thing for everybody all the time. The annual title, they bring it out all the time. They got competitive people play it. People love it. But you're going to tell me that your best competition is somebody who's in basically the same realm as you. I understand it's not exactly the same, but an action game versus an action game is quite similar. That you cannot tell me that you're not facing some portion of competition, more competition, releasing with another action game than you are with two FPS games, and to delude yourself into thinking that you can overtake Fallout.
I think he was trying to phrase it pretty mildly, like he's not trying to overtake Fallout. Like he said he wants both of them to sell. I think it is like it's not a matter of direct competition. Like I will buy.
He said we could directly compete with Fallout.
But the thing is, I'm lost.
Wait a minute.
You said
he
a lot.
Say
of
he
words.
could directly compete.
Yeah. He's saying
because he's saying it's two different audience. It's not the same. In fact, he says they are not direct competitors per se.
And we hope people will buy both, which is a nice thing to say. But yeah, like I definitely feel like Tomb Raider stands a better chance against Fallout than against Call of Duty or against Star Wars because we haven't really talked about it, but the Star Wars numbers we're going to get to at some point.
Yeah.
7.
Well, let's just throw that out here.
Let's throw it in the mix. Like 17 million. Is that what it was?
That's what the EA is.
I thought it was 13.
17 sounded right. It is 13. You're right.
Okay.
The Star Wars Battlefront is expected to ship 13 million.
But
And Metal Gear shipped 5. You said.
Yeah.
Okay.
5 million.
Destiny sold 5 million. Like, those numbers are like, okay, that's all fine and well to expect to sell 13 million, but I don't feel like. I feel like that's a little bit of an inflated number
For Battlefront.
I don't think it's inflated. And here's the thing. People want to make a big deal about, like, well, that was shipped, not sold through. You're not pressing discs that you don't expect to sell. Like, that's the thing. And
Right.
there are people far smarter than us that are making the decisions to print these discs.
Yeah.
And so I fully expect if they think that they're going to ship that, they think that they're going to sell that as well. Go ahead.
I'm going to side with Ben on this one.
Hey.
I don't think they should have competed with Star Wars, but I do think that there's a much greater chance to be an overlap of big fans of Tomb Raider and fans of Fallout versus fans of Tomb Raider and fans of Call of Duty or of Halo.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I think Ben was also saying at the same time that Fallout is, I don't know, way greater than Tomb Raider, which I'm sure some would argue.
If we're talking about excitement, and if you ask most everybody what their most anticipated game for the rest of the year is, the majority of them are going to say Fallout. Like, the hype is behind Fallout 4 right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And Jelly Donuts asks, he says, why not Tomb Raider? Why doesn't Tomb Raider wait until next year? What we got to remember is they have a very specific exclusivity deal worked out for this game that has agreements probably going both ways, where Microsoft says you have to have it out by X amount of time, and where they also say it has to be exclusive on ours in this amount of time, where Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics probably came back and said, well, we want it on PlayStation by this time. And they're like, well, as long as it's out a year before. So I see why their window is so narrow, because as I was reading it, I was like, Aaron Greenberg's talking week before, week after. Why not 4 weeks after? Well, if the agreement says that this has to come to PlayStation 4 by November of next year, then it would make sense why they're trying to squeeze it in here. I think it would make more sense against Call of Duty, though.
Yeah, that's where I think it should have dropped, because that's less overlap of common fans, and all these games are going to be huge. But I think of the 3, or is it 4?
It's 3 that he's talking about in here.
Halo, Call of Duty, and Fallout, and Star Wars.
Yeah,
I think of the.
Did you mention
4,
Halo?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't
Well,
know.
and they're not going to do that.
I think of the 4, Call of Duty is the least hyped.
Right.
And I feel like, I mean, you're getting out before Fallout. Like, you're getting your game out before Fallout, so that gives you a little bit of curve on the market if you're going against Call of Duty this week. And I don't know, just
Larry, I think you could say Call of Duty is the least hyped, but let's be real. Like, that launch is going to be the one, along with Madden, where there are people lined in, like, multiple circles around our GameStop.
Yeah, that's true.
To buy it. Like, it doesn't need hype anymore at this point.
But I do think it is starting to lose steam. And
That's
I
what
think
I'm
it is. I think there's enough people that are fans of that series that are saying, well, if something else is new is there, then I may be more willing to go to that. Whereas Fallout 3 came out how many years ago?
it's been a
long
while.
time.
Yeah, and people
So-
are anticipating this
2009
game
maybe?
for.
Yeah,
2008.
It's been a long time.
And Call of Duty, their exclusives are just excellent. Like with their 4th remake of Nuketown.
The reality of this, and he grasps the reality. The reality is this game's going to struggle against all of these.
It's a no-win situation.
I'm just saying that their best bet would have been Call of Duty. But at the end of the day, I think this one's just going to be obscured in this launch window.
I feel like his best option, I feel like, would have been to release somewhere like Black Friday and done some I don't know, like $50 deal or $45 deal. Like, you're taking a hit on money, but you the amount of people that buy stuff on Black Friday for their kids, like, you would sell a ton of these games because they're cheap, and just for your new system that you bought for your kid for Christmas. Like, if you're trying to get holiday sales in, that would have been like a great time to get in on this game.
Matt Brock brings up a good point. He says COD is PS4 focused, where Tomb Raider is the Xbox game. So I agree with the choice, with Larry's choice. But even though the marketing is on the PlayStation side, the player base is still on the Xbox side. I would imagine there's a larger potential for an install base on a console that sold 8-9 million more units, but Call of Duty has and will for a long time be considered an Xbox game, like a game for the Xbox player base. I mean,
I feel the other. I don't have any solid numbers to back it up, so it's just opinion. But I feel like all of the people that I know who are into COD are PlayStation guys. I don't know very many.
It's one of those things I think it's spread out enough. I mean, I'm sure Xbox had for many years an advantage, of course, because of the DLC deals. But at the same time, like I've owned Call of Duties on PlayStations and on Xboxes. It depends on the person.
I feel like the online was the reason Xbox had such a monopoly on the Call of Duty side was because the online was so much better on the 360 than the PS3 back in that time. And now, like, I feel like the people who are like hardcore Call of Duty people are going to float with who has the exclusive, who can get the content 30 days early. Like that's huge for people who that's the main game they get every year is Call of Duty. And that's where you get it is on PlayStation. That's where you can get the content, the DLC 30 days early.
Luke's going to bring some science into our, not science.
Oh well, I just want to look at some NPD numbers for it because they list. Well, this does not look acceptable to me.
And I'm just being speculative, but I kind of think that lends credence to Larry's point is like if you're gonna do like Xbox is pushing this Tomb Raider is their exclusive, not so much like exclusive to Xbox, but exclusive for.
What do you think? What do you think the highest selling game of last year was? 2014.
I read it, so I'm not gonna.
Is it going to be something that I don't expect to be the highest?
Just what would you expect it to be?
It's something I don't expect to be the highest, and I'm just going to stop talking now.
Thinking back to everything that was released in 2014. You've got games like it wasn't released, but you've got games like Minecraft, Super Smash Brothers, 2K15, Call of Duty, Madden, Destiny, FIFA, Watch Dogs, all those games. Which of those do you think was the highest selling in 2014? Just quickly,
maybe I would think Call of Duty would be around there, but I don't think it is because
Call of Duty was the top selling.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And so, but it still isn't giving me the numbers that I'm wanting it to. I wanted to see. How it lists the platforms next to it.
Here's the thing: like when you think games, you synonymously, like if you think about a shooter game, the first thing that pops in people's head is Call of Duty. Like that's what Call of Duty has been the leading horse in that race for a long time.
Milky513 says I worked at GameStop for 2 years and COD on Xbox outsold PS3 by 5-1.
All right.
And I do feel like I would love to talk to the people that work at our GameStop and see what the pre-orders are for. And I mean that only tells part of the story at this point because it's all digital as well. But regardless, the point being, it was a lose-lose situation for Tomb Raider, and you almost kind of feel bad for it because this game would not have made it to market without Microsoft coming in and backing up a truckload of money to make it a timed exclusive. Probably, I mean that's just speculative, but you don't sell out to the fan base that made you what you are to the enemy, the other side, So, all right, moving on. The new Xbox One experience is set to launch November 12th. We gotta pick it up here. We're going pretty long here, and so November 12th, and with that is going to come backwards compatibility. I am in the preview program, so I've been messing around with this for a while now, and it's so much faster. It makes so much more sense. I really, really enjoy it. The backwards compatibility stuff is interesting as well. I'm excited to have you guys get your hands on it. Did you finally get into the preview?
No, they forced all preview. So you had the choice to opt in.
Right.
But yesterday when I tried to start playing Halo, I yelled many things because it chose that moment. My Xbox has been on for hours, and it chose that moment to do the system update and delayed me by 45 minutes. But once it was on, I was like, what is this?
Right.
And then I was like, oh.
What is this?
This is good.
Nice. Isn't it so much snappier?
I just go to the left and my friends are already loaded and I don't have to wait 5 minutes and I can jump into parties. It fixed all of the things that were wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great. What I'm interested in seeing for you guys is like backwards compatibility was the announcement of the show at E3. Maybe next to Fallout 4, even though we all knew Fallout 4 was going to get announced. I'm interested to see if it's one of those things that we always say that we want, but if we're really going to ever use it. Because I heard it and I was like, man, backwards compatibility, that's awesome. I went and I bought Gears and I bought Mass Effect, and I'm like, these games, like especially Mass Effect 1, like this doesn't age well. Mm-hmm. Like there are better experiences to have.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's one of those things. Like I bought Rare Replay, totally thinking I was gonna thinking I was gonna play
That's
the heck
all
out of it.
thinking about how you guys made fun of Ben earlier.
And I was so excited for Conkers and Banjo-Kazooie, and I haven't played them yet. With those kind of backwards compatible, I played what was it, Viva Pinata, for way longer than I should have, and I had a lot of fun with it. But I'm excited to get my hands on this to play like where I bought Gears Ultimate. I'm supposed to get my backwards compatible versions of 2, 3, and 4. Well, no, 2, 3, and Judgment. Yeah. And I'm excited to get my hands on those. Just to
4, what?
What?
I want that. I need to get those. I need to get the Nathan Drake collection too.
Well, you can't. I think if you buy Gears now, you don't get the other games, do you?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure when
works.
that window
oh my
was.
Gosh, what is happening? I like it.
It might be through the end of the year or something, but I'm not sure.
I've got them for 360 anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you got it.
What are you guys excited about the new experience?
Yeah, I'm excited. I haven't really checked out yours very much, and I'm kind of just waiting to be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I have been looking for reasons to hold on to my Xbox, so I'll give this a shot.
I guarantee you, Ben, that if you sell your Xbox and get a Vita, that you're going to be buying a Vita or another Xbox again.
I'm
going to be honest with you.
I will not.
I've already offered Luke a bet on how long it will take you to buy the second Xbox after you sell the first.
I guarantee
I'm not going to tell you
I will
what
not
that
buy
bet
another
is,
Xbox.
so that the bet is not.
I guarantee you, I will not physically be able to. I may want to,
oh, no.
but I won't be able to.
The bet wasn't whether you will or not. The bet was on the time frame.
Yeah. No, it was not a question of will you or won't you.
It's a win.
It was a win you.
Okay. Cool, gotcha. But there's a lot of reasons that are keeping me from getting rid of my Xbox, so this is just one that I could tack onto it.
Okay.
We already mentioned, the shipping of 13 million copies for Star Wars is the expectation. Did we say what we wanted to say there?
Yeah, pretty
so
much.
that I can move on to the last item on the list for the news. Mirror's Edge Catalyst got delayed. This is written by Sean Tim over on GameSpresso. It says, though originally set for a February 23rd release date next year, DICE announced today Mirror's Edge Catalyst is being delayed until May 24th. Senior producer Sarah Jansen broke the sad news today with a post on the game's website explaining, quote, "We will use these few extra months to make sure that when you step into the massive city of glass and experience the rise of faith, it is as entertaining, impressive, and memorable as it can be," end quote. And then Jansen stressed the ambitious nature of the game overall, saying the goals the team have established for themselves will take time. Quote, "We set out to create a vast city to explore full of stunning vistas, majestic skyscrapers, and mysterious tunnels. We're building the most immersive action-adventure game with fluid movement and combat in first person. Mirror's Edge Catalyst will be an all-new playground, yada, yada," all this sort of like marketing speech. So, Larry, talk to me.
Is this an Origin game? I know.
It's a reboot, right?
Sort of. They keep being real fuzzy on it and kind of going back and forth on their language, but
Seems like an Origin, but
it's basically a reboot.
yeah.
Okay.
Origin deal.
Sorry, I just was confused.
Her origins will be explored for sure.
Okay.
I can't remember if I brought my concerns to you before or after they announced this delay, but I definitely was having concerns about this game before the delay. And my concerns don't really have a lot to do with the delay. They initially announced this game in, 2013 E3? And I was thrilled, the trailer, because I loved Mirror's Edge. If I ever bring my Xbox, I'm carried in my Mirror's Edge bag. I loved that game. It's fantastic. And I was so sad when they canceled the sequel. And then when that trailer dropped and they're like, "It's coming when it's ready," I'm like, yeah! And then we didn't hear anything about it for 2 years, which is understandable. They're just, all right, hey, we're making this thing again. But since E3 of this year, there's not been any new information about this game at all. There hasn't been any kind of trailer, any kind of gameplay released outside of what they showed at E3. And in fact, I follow their Twitter account, and that was maybe a mistake on my part, because the Twitter account is what has led me to be so discouraged about this game, because they tweet about it frequently, but all of their tweets consist of GIFs made from that one E3 presentation.
Right.
And they keep saying the same things again and again, and I'm like, don't think that's how hype works. I think you gotta keep giving people a little bit. All that is to say, I just don't know what to expect from this game, and I'm just concerned.
I think that, and this is going to sound super negative, but I think that they think this franchise is more popular than it actually was. You know, like, and it's one of those things that, like, huge cult following. People who like this game love this game. It's like blue cheese. You either love it or you hate it.
Right, it's vomit.
Ugh. So gross.
I love blue chease. It's great.
It's
Your thoughts
disgusting.
on blue chease?
It's mold.
Yeah. Well, the thing is,
Just do you like it or do you not like it?
the thing is that it sucks.
But anyway, with Mirror's Edge, it's one of those things, like, the people that like it love it, and I feel like this game is only going to be as successful as that cult following unless they start showing us a reason to care about it for those of us that have never played it before. And 2 years ago, or at E3 this year, when they showed the trailer for it, it looked really, really good, but then it's died off again. And I don't get concerned over delays all that often, just because games become better because of delays. But I do get nervous when you hear absolutely nothing out of it and then they delay the game.
Yeah.
And it being about being ambitious and, like, we're doing this because we want to create a vast world. It's like you have 3 months, like, until this game was supposed to release, 4 months until it was supposed to release, and you're just now realizing, like, oh gosh, we need more time to realize our ambition.
You've been working on this for probably over 3 years now.
Dude seriously says blue cheese is 10 out of 10. Thank you.
Dude, seriously.
Hey, just take your blue cheese, marry it, because that'll be legal in a couple of years, right? Why don't we just? I don't know.
You were eating mold. You know that, right?
All cheese.
All
though.
cheese is
Right.
mold.
I love.
Ben,
I love
you
mold.
But I
talk
don't wanna
about
see
eating
the mold.
You talk about eating cheese sandwiches all the time.
I don't want to see the, but you don't see the mold in the processed American, though.
You don't see the mold. Well, I mean, you do.
The blue is the mold in the
Blue is mold,
cheese.
but, I mean, I'll give blue cheese this. It's got authenticity to it. Like what you're eating, Ben, is just straight up like it's what the cow made, and then it's what God made, but then it's what the scientists took. You're eating Franken cheese.
Oh yes, the cheese I eat is Franken cheese because it's from Bolden and it's
Because you don't have to
processed.
refrigerate it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's like
No,
margarine.
Velveeta, you don't have to.
Franken cheese is the factory worker, not the food.
Come on, man. That's right. All right.
I love you, Larry.
That was the news.
News with the podcast, guys. It took me an hour and 43 minutes to sing that again.
Almost.
All right. Moving on. We've got reviews. Reviews for you. Luke, Larry, Seth.
Talk to me.
No, you talk to me about Halo 5. I
I love Halo 5. Larry almost
haven't
said
played
it
it
earlier.
enough to love it.
I'm falling in love.
I don't own it.
I'm at this tentative phase where we've been on a couple of dates, and I like where things are going, but she could still do something crazy. To
Oh
throw me
yeah,
off.
absolutely.
Halo 5's that dirty girl who I don't want to mess with. Because everybody knows
you
her past.
you don't own the game, so
I played the beta and I was really kind of iffy about it back when we were kind of messing around with it when the Master Chief Collection was out. And I don't know what it is, but I feel like it's just a little more balanced. It's like the pacing seems a little better to me than it was back then. Or maybe I've just had time. I played a few rounds of it back then, and now I've just had a little time for it to grow on me subconsciously. I don't know. But I was playing it the other night, just the multiplayer, before I actually cracked into the story. And I felt like a 13-year-old girl. I'm sitting there like doing these these just lightning fast battle rifle shots, and I was doing really well sometimes. And I was Xbox record that. You guys might have seen the videos if you got it on your app. I don't know.
we didn't care about you that much.
There were like 30 of them. I don't know if you care, but they would have been there. And many of them. And then I was doing poorly sometimes, and I'm just like getting ridiculously frustrated at it, but enjoying myself all the while. And I love the story so far too. I just started the 6th mission. Where are you?
I'm only in the 3rd mission. I just finished the 3rd mission.
Okay. I'm really digging the story so far. One of my biggest gripes with some of the other ones are that they're kind of like, I love Halo 4 is probably one of my favorite Halo story entries. But I feel like the missions sometimes are really bloated and overly long sometimes, especially when you're playing by yourself. I kind of like to mini missions, but have them lightning fast so I can come back to them, jump in and out whenever. And I think this has a really nice flow to it, kind of jumping back and forth between the dual storylines. I'm really intrigued, and I can't wait to see where the rest of this game goes.
I want to ask you a question. I asked Larry this, but Larry's playing with a team of people, like real people. So you've been playing it by yourself because you're all alone, right?
Yeah.
I jumped on and experimented with what you're about to ask.
Okay,
But
so you guys can.
You're going to ask about the squad-based mode.
Yeah, the AI, because I've heard mixed reviews about it, but the reason I'm asking that is because a few months ago when they announced the removal of split screen, they said one of the reasons was because they needed to focus on the AI, and if they didn't nail it, I feel like that's kind of egregious.
I haven't had any problems with it so far. Then again, I play on normal when I'm by myself. I save legendary for when I'm playing with you guys or something like that when I have someone else to play with. I can see where I'm sure on legendary, like I've kind of called for help, and which it gives you the option to call for help or to just kind of sit there and wait, which I guess when you're playing by yourself, you kind of have to call. And they come right over to you. I mean, everything works, I think, the way that it should so far as I've experienced it. Have you had the same luck? Or
the way some people talked, they had horrible problems with the AI, and I'm not there. And I asked my wife what she thought as well, because she played by herself. And I played on Heroic earlier. I just need to, typically I'll play in Legendary, but that takes time, and I was in a hurry. And so I blitzed through this mission, and I didn't have any problems with it, but I'm also not,
it's the greatest thing ever. Yeah. I mean,
they didn't do anything for me that a group of Marines in previous Halo games have done.
I always lose my Marines immediately, though, and because I kill most of them accidentally.
Well, if these people were capable of dying, they would have,
right.
If I could
they would have
revive
been long gone. I've shot a few of my Spartans myself, but I've had a lot of I think it's cool that you can direct your Spartans to attack a certain enemy. That's seemed to work really well for me so far.
That's key.
Yeah,
I feel like some people are playing this game, and maybe their complaints are a result of them not using the ability to direct their Spartans. If you don't, they kind of wander off and do their own thing.
Yeah, because I've every time a knight comes in, they're knights, right?
Yeah.
Because you've got the soldiers in this one too that weren't in Halo 4. I think that's what they're called. Every time a knight comes in, they're a lot harder in this game, and you got to kind of strategically fight them.
You can't even splat. Have you tried to splatter one? They
I've tried, yeah, and I saw one actually stick his sword into a warthog and throw it at me, and I was trying to avoid him then because I didn't want him to sword my warthog. I feel weird about saying that.
makes me think of Bloodborne.
Right. But all in all, I am in love with this game, and I have not gotten to play it enough. As much as I want to. I feel a little the only thing I've really not enjoyed very much is just the amount of maps. I thought this was supposed to ship with 20-something.
It's probably divided up among things because you have arena.
Well, I was reading something else, and they were saying that there were basically 9 maps, and there may be a couple more. I forget where I was reading this. It was actually Forbes, I want to say. And they have each game mode has 2 or 3 maps to it, and some maps overlap into different modes. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know what the DLC schedule is going to be like for this game, but
and all the DLC maps are free, right?
If I remember right.
Right, which is great. But I would like to see this too.
Come to fruition a little sooner.
Pretty soon, yeah, because I've already played the same this map, same map, different map, same map.
Yeah.
And this DLC better not be Forge maps.
Right, exactly.
Oh gosh. I will never buy another Halo game.
One thing that I haven't been bothered by at all in the multiplayer, I don't know about you, are these the requisition packs.
I haven't played enough to.
It only really matters
in Warzone.
In Warzone, and I would be. Let me take a step back. If you're willing to buy it, you can start every single one of your lives with a power weapon, with a saw.
But you also lose it as soon as you die, and you can die really, really easily. It's I think I made the comparison.
If you suck. Yeah. I'm sorry.
But Warzone was really different, and I only played one round of it, so I don't really know how to feel about it. But I enjoyed it because it felt like Battlefield in Halo. There was that great lead up. I say great, and I'm kind of wishy-washy on that. But you're kind of running and trying to figure out where you want to go. You kind of start away from the action. But I mean, I used many requisition packs, like getting my saws and rocket launchers and stuff like that. And sometimes it worked out well for me, and sometimes I would be getting ready to jump into the action, and someone would pop me with a sniper rifle from a mile away, and I lose that requisition. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I don't particularly think that it's unbalanced myself, but I don't know. It's something that I could change my mind on at some point, possibly.
Yeah, the fact that if you're just willing to throw money at it, though, you can go in with whatever weapon you want. Like, it just rubs me the wrong way. It may not be totally evident that it's unbalanced, but I think you can go many, many games without running into somebody who's willing to do that too.
Yeah, because in that 40-minute match or whatever I played, every time I was killed, it was by a battle rifle or an assault rifle or an AR or something like that.
As far as Warzone goes, it's kind of the perfect balance between running missions together with your friends and playing multiplayer with your friends.
I've not had a chance to play Warzone yet.
So essentially, you've got human controlled enemies, but you've also got AI enemies that you've got to fight. And so, like, specific enemies will pop up, and you have to go and kill them, and you get points for killing these AI. So you're not just defending necessarily a point, but maybe like a group of hunters will spawn, and you're defending them from getting killed.
You have like 3 bases, and you want to. It's either like the first to capture all the bases, or it's the first to reach 1,000 points. I think you can do one or the other.
If you capture all the bases, you have cores that become.
Oh, you have to
vulnerable.
destroy those, right? So you destroy all the bases, or you get up to 1,000 points, and you get the points from Spartan kills, from I think capturing the fortresses, and from these from AI enemies, and from the boss, like the big bosses that come up, and they even have like legendary bosses I think that spawn at some points, stuff like that. It seems really diversified to me.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's not something. It's not going to be my main game mode by any means, but I still love SWAT in this.
How long did the game you played take?
In Warzone?
Yeah,
probably 30 minutes.
Yeah, I think
40
mine
minutes.
was 30 minutes.
I mean, it was a good while, but
I'm going to jump in and give my thoughts now.
do it, please.
So, I mean, this is a given, but it is a beautiful game.
Oh, yeah.
Looks good, feels good.
Don't go sorting any warthogs over there.
That's so weird. I do like the dynamic of you get to. This is such a simple thing, but you can pick who you are when you play with friends through the campaign. So I always snag Buck because I love Nathan Fillion. Be my friend, Nathan. The story, like, I'm not as far as you are into it yet, so hopefully it'll pick up. Right now, I'm just like, all right, this is all right.
There was one, I think it was I won't tell you exactly where it was, but there was a really enjoyable scene that they kind of played it a little bit in one of the trailers. There's the opening where you first start off as Fireteam Osiris was great, and they showed a little bit of that in the trailer, going to that big snowy hill.
Yeah.
But there's another one, I won't mention it, but there's a nice little fight.
Yeah.
And it's brief, but it's really exciting.
I'm sure it'll pick up, but I mean, it's not a bad story by any means. I'm just like, all right, I'm not super impressed yet.
Yeah.
Same with my AI guys. But the feel of the game itself, the pacing, the way the weapons fire, the way your character handles, excellent. They've nailed it. We said this with the beta. It's different, but it's still Halo.
Yeah.
It feels totally different, but it's the same.
I think I kind of said the same thing in the beta, and especially after reading the books. Or some of the books at least. Like, I had never in another Halo game, other than maybe the occasional cutscene, like Halo 2 jumping out of the ship with the bomb, and Halo 2 spoilers, everybody, into space and kind of directing that bomb and just in the middle of open space. I've never really felt like a Spartan when playing a Halo game before, and this one I absolutely do.
Yeah,
I truly felt like it. Like I can do anything.
You're not just a Marine with more health.
Right.
You actually are a force to be reckoned with now.
Yeah.
So that's good. Yeah.
And the way that opening kind of scene goes, like the kind of just like the constant onslaught of motion and action, it's not quite to that level, of course, but it feels like it. Like I'm zipping and zagging all over the place.
Now the multiplayer, I think it's perfect. I love it. I don't have a single complaint about that. I get mad when I don't win because that's just how I do. But it's the first Halo game where every time I've been killed so far, I'm like, that was legit. I suck. So no complaints. It's awesome. It feels great, and I love the pacing. I love that they've picked up the pace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and all the changes make sense. Like, I should be able to do these things. I should be able to grab walls. I should be able to aim down sight. Like, none of the changes they made were like, well, that's not in the vein of what it means to be Halo. And the main thing that jumped out to me, and I haven't spent a ton of time playing it, so when we get to our review in a word, I'm not going to have a word. But the control scheme finally makes sense. like sprinting is clicking in on the thumbstick, the aiming down sight, doing all those sorts of things. Like they've kind of adopted this what's become sort of the universal idea of a first-person shooter control scheme. And one of my biggest issues when playing Halo was I couldn't play other first-person shooters at the time that I was really into Halo because it would take me so long to jump back and forth between them and get the feel back. And I feel like there's a real natural kind of transition between the two, between that and another first-person shooter that I just really appreciate.
Absolutely. I remember that was one of the biggest things that jumped out to me when the beta came out, like just being able to I tried playing it on like Halo 4 in the Master Chief Collection with, the sprint as the thumbstick, and it just didn't feel right with, it's not quite the same, but it's really streamlined, I think, in every regard, just about. I have not even thought about Destiny really since getting Halo within the last week. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Ben.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
I just it made me remember in a time where I'd almost forgotten in the post Master Chief Collection world, which Master Chief did do this for me to some degree, but this game made me remember why I love and continue to love Halo.
And let's talk for just 1 second and give props because the matchmaking has been great.
Seamless for me.
So,
like, absolutely no problems.
I haven't heard really any issues out of it. One of the other things about the arena play that I like is that the announcer tells you when the power weapons are coming up, and that kind of forces the fight. Like it says sniper up in 20 seconds or whatever. And so people know to run to that spot, and it's created a lot of cool battles over the weapons, and it forces the map control idea and the weapon control idea that has been kind of the stake for Halo all the time, but now it makes people aware who may be coming from COD, maybe coming from another first-person shooter that's really not the focus of it.
It levels the playing field a bit in that regard because one of the things that made me such a formidable opponent in previous Halo games was I was that guy who had memorized, all right, this weapon got picked up at this time, it respawns at this time, and so I'm telling my team where to be and when to be there.
Mm-hmm. And now everybody knows.
Yeah. So they took an edge away from me, but I'm cool with it because there are other people who are way better at that than I am, and now we all know where we need to go.
We're all
punch
equal.
each
And
other
I
in the
haven't
mouth.
really had any, and I say this every time a shooter comes out, so take it with a grain of salt, but I haven't run into any campers so far yet. I'm sure that can change, but I think the way that the map control schematic lays out in this, the way that the maps seem to be so far is there aren't really a lot of crazy campable spots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Of course, someone's going to find a way to change that for me, but oh well.
Well, let's wrap this part of it up and do our review in a word.
It's going to be a simple review in a word, but it's just the way I feel.
Good.
Spectacular. Good for once. The game is good. It's spectacular. I love everything about this game, from the cover art to the gameplay to the story, to the multiplayer, to all the modes of multiplayer that exist so far. And I can't wait for Big Team Battle because I'm going to love that too.
What's up?
What's up? Buy the game. Ben.
Buy the game.
Ben, buy the
I'm making it Black Friday
Ben.
if it's on sale,
It'll go on sale. You'll be all right.
because I missed out on the $40 deal that you always got.
Or keep an eye out because that stuff happens all the time. Amazon does that stuff all the time.
Yeah, I'll check.
I'm pretty sure that Bridget also ordered me Black Ops 3, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to play it because I've got too much to do.
Nice.
My review in a word is reconciliation. I feel like Halo, my old
The truth
friend,
and Rick, I'm
yes.
sorry.
My old friend Halo let me down with the Master Chief Collection, and we had a falling out, but then he came back, and he made it mostly better. I'm still suffering from some disappointment that I can't co-op this game with my wife, but the game itself is not the mess that Master Chief Collection is, and it gives me all the happy feelings Master Chief Collection should have given me.
Yes.
Vindicated.
Vindicated.
I love that song.
Yeah.
Just real quick, I don't want to spend a ton of time here, but I got a chance to play Guitar Hero, and when Guitar Hero got announced and they showed the footage of the live and the crowd with the signs that say "You suck if you mess up," I was like, I don't really know about this, but something got in me where I was like, I want to try this game.
Sort of got in your warthog, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No. And so I went and picked it up last week, and I'm having a blast with it. And I've never been like a huge Rock Band fan. I've never owned a Rock Band or a Guitar Hero game, and this was one of those where it was different enough that I was like, I think I'm going to take the leap so that I can at least have a word to say about it on the podcast. they changed the controller in the way that the game plays. Rather than having 5 buttons that are all in line with one another, there's 6 buttons with 2 rows, 3 on top, 3 on bottom, and so it's it's more of it's a little bit more indicative of what it means to play guitar, because you're moving both up and down the neck and up and down the strings, and the game is essentially two games. You have Guitar Hero Live, which is all the songs that come on the disc. There's like 45 of them, and you play through. It's sort of like a career, but it's not really a career because you're not with the same band or anything like that. And you go to these venues in America and in the UK, and you play songs, and they have set lists that kind of match genres. So like you may have a folk set list or a metal set list.
You could be like a musician for hire, something like that.
Yeah,
Like,
sort of like that. Although the game tries to get you to think that, like, not necessarily that you're playing with the same band, but that the people are traveling around to see the same people perform. It's not a good story or anything like that at all, but it doesn't need to be, because that's not the nature of those games. The nature of those games is just getting together and doing like we did today, where it's just friends get together and play as many songs as they can. I thought that the live idea, the live action thing, was going to be a little more gimmicky than what it was. I actually quite enjoyed the visual feedback you get from the audience when you're not playing well. I think it's an overreaction. The band thing is the thing that messes me up the most, because they just straight show you up. They're like yelling at you, "Come on, man!" And it's like, a band wouldn't do that to one another. The audience may do that, but it's really funny how quickly you can get them to turn against you, and how hard it is to get them to come back. Like, I was playing a song, and I think I had only missed like 2 notes through the whole thing. And at the end, I missed the last 3 notes for some reason. And the crowd was like, "Boo, you stink, that's horrible." One of the things I do really appreciate about that section of the game is they got actual musicians to record the footage. So you're not getting like season 1 of Friends, where like you could really tell Phoebe didn't know how to play the guitar.
yeah.
The people are playing the actual guitar parts, the actual drum parts, and it adds an element of realism to it that would otherwise just be really distracting. And so that part of the game I really appreciate. I thought it was really well done. It lacks in certain areas, but nothing totally egregious. Then the other part of the game is called Guitar Hero TV, which is where there are 2 channels that stream genres of music in 30-minute blocks, and you play over top of the music videos, and it's a no-fail mode, so it's a really good opportunity for you to get in and to try difficulties that are harder than what you normally play on, which is what I've been using it to do. And it's also really cool to just jump in and play songs that you wouldn't otherwise choose to play. And that's the mode we played today, and I thought we had a whole lot of fun with it. The setup of the guitar is great. The difficulty that it adds, and having to move not just up and down the fretboard, but up and down the strings, is really good. My review in a word is leap. I felt like they kind of took a leap of faith, saying we're going to move away from what made us successful to begin with. But I also think it was a leap forward into saying, like, we don't have to just deliver the same thing. Because I felt like Rock Band 4 didn't really do its fans much service, because for the most part what I've heard is you can't really tell the difference between it and Rock Band 3. And so for Guitar Hero to say, like, we have this brand new console that can do all these sorts of things, like, we're gonna try to innovate, we're gonna try to do something different, and I think it really paid off.
I really like the idea, just from watching today, of the Guitar Hero TV. I haven't played a Guitar Hero since Guitar Hero 3 with Slash and all those cats. Do they have like a direct one-on-one versus mode in this?
It's not necessarily,
or is it all kind of like on that Guitar Hero TV where you're kind of on a leaderboard and
you're kind of on a leaderboard.
People?
You can have 2 guitars hooked up at the same time, but you don't play different parts. You play the same thing, so you can compare scores in that regard.
The way that was like you would basically, it was like a 1 versus 1 person in Guitar Hero 3, and it was basically you were trying to get the best percentage, just like you're doing now. But it was direct competition, and you could see like the note, like both of you had your notes come up at the same time.
Yeah,
and you could you would see what they're doing on their screen too.
Yeah, they've also added vocals into it. You can
Okay.
attach a microphone and sing along with it. But yeah, they have a head-to-head mode where you can compete against
Okay,
one another
cool,
too.
cool.
I'm enjoying it. What's that?
I was just looking at Larry's face.
We gotta find this microphone.
Oh yeah.
Sounds like fun.
He was like,
I wonder if it works with just the headset.
I've got a Rock Band microphone we can try. Just USB.
That may work. All right,
Let's just cram this microphone into
there you go. Let's move on to everybody's favorite.
Wait, reviewing a word.
Leap.
Yeah,
Oh,
you did it, yeah.
my bad.
It's
I'm
all
sorry.
Good. It's all good.
Froggy Unicorn.
Let's move on to everybody's favorite segment, the random question of the week.
Random question of the week for the month for this week. Happy birthday, Remy.
It makes no sense.
It's great. This is a viewer question from friend of the show, Milky513, the second greatest friend of the show after Phil Spencer. He says, what is your favorite water cooler moment from any gaming franchise and why? One of mine is the end of Braid when you find out that the spoiler alert for Braid, when you find out that the girl you're trying to save keeps ending up in another forest, not because she was taken, but because she's running away from you as you're a monster to her. And then No Russian in COD, the airport scene, is one that will live in infamy for me, as I didn't have the heart to shoot the bystanders. Both moments, me and my friends talked about at length about how games make you see yourself in another light sometimes and not as the hero. And he says, catch you guys on Monday. Thanks for the question, Milky. So water cooler moments in games. I'll kick us off.
We were always bound to have the same one of these, so just talk about it for me, please.
What?
Mine is the end of The Last of Us. And I don't want to get into the details of the end of The Last of Us because there's still people who haven't played it yet. And I think, are we far enough removed to spoil that game? I don't think we
Talk
are.
about The Last of Us. If you haven't played The Last of Us, shut up.
Wait,
I've got a new outlook on spoilers. Chris Hardwick had a rant recently. Apparently, some fellow came into a Walking Dead thing at one of these big conferences and asked a question and then got all up in arms when Chris Hardwick answered it with spoilers. And Chris was like, "Why the heck would you?" He didn't say heck. Would you come to this conference? Why would you come to this session and ask a question if you're not caught up on the show? And so his stance is 48 hours, something like that. I mean, a game should be a little different, I think. Yeah. But he's like, you've got 48 hours to watch it, and then if not, stay off social media if you're trying not to see. I think that's reasonable. With a game, like, that's been out for a year, 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
Yeah. Like, we're well
It was at
past
the end of the
spoiler
PS3
territory.
console, and they remastered it for PS4, so it's been a year and a half.
If you're a PlayStation person and you care about playing this game, you've played it.
Yeah. So, essentially, in The Last of Us, you're tasked to deliver a girl from one end of the country to the other because it is possible that she can be used to develop a cure for this outbreak.
She's immune.
Because she's immune. But you learn in the very end that they're going
Spoilers.
you learn in the very end that they're going to have to remove her brain. She's going to have to die in order to make it. And you have kind of formed this father-daughter relationship with her, and you save her.
You just mow those doctors down.
Yeah, which you don't have to do, by the way.
Yeah, I did.
Nice.
It's a lot more fun to mow them down.
It is.
It's like an
they're
intense
like-
moment.
Yeah, they're like begging
'Cause,
for
like,
their
that's
lives.
like that's the one part in the game where you get like automatic weapons,
Yeah,
and like when you finally get that, you want to use them
Because you're just busting, you're busting through the doors, like you're freaking out because you're trying to get to her, and you're like just mowing all these people down, and you get in there, and
gives
it's just
you the
like
chance to play with emotion or to play with tacticity. I made that word up, but
I was just running, throwing
Tacticity.
Molotovs, just like I was just running as fast as I could, bypassing people, stabbing people. You know, I was
yeah,
doing all
me too.
kinds of
I had
crazy
like
stuff.
Molotov cocktails I was throwing in the middle of this hospital and burning doctors to death. I actually did like you break in. God forbid, spoiler alerts here. Like when you first break into
We're past that.
the room where she's like being about to be operated on, and she's in the little hospital gown. You have to pick her up right before. Like I threw a Molotov cocktail at the doctor, like right past her, and like the doctor went up in flames, and then I pick up Ellie and proceed on my happy way.
But essentially, at the end of the game, she's asking you about what happened, and you're explaining it to her, and you lied to her, about what was going to happen because you tell her like they weren't going to be able to do anything, so I got you out there, blah blah blah, and she just says, "Are you telling me the truth?" And you say, "Yes," and that's the way that it ends.
No, she says, okay,
Yeah.
but the expression on her face and that's the great thing about that, like that kind of end of PS3 generation graphics is like you can tell that she's wondering if he's lying or not, almost, or maybe you can't tell, maybe it's all in your head, but either
Actually, I
way,
gotta go back and play
it's
that
either
game.
great writing or it's great acting or great mocap, one way or the other. But
Real-
she's just like, okay,
Real quick, what did she ask?
If Joel is telling the truth about them not being able to do anything, and
Because he didn't want to tell her they killed everybody.
like he didn't want to tell her, not that, but like
she was
the only hope for humanity, pretty much, and he basically took her life as being more valuable than the rest of humanity.
Well, and she was willing to die too, I think.
I think that was the big thing. Is
Yeah.
She was willing. Like there's some sense that she knew what needed to be done if this was going to happen, and you learn through a series of other things that she had a friend that was bitten and succumbed to this, and she was bitten at the same time as well, and she lived and her friend died.
That was in
So-
the DLC. Yeah.
So she's like, if why did I have a chance to live? Maybe my opportunity to live was because I possess something that could have been used to
Right.
reverse this thing. And so there's all these layers to it. And I remember immediately finishing that game and being like, I'm going to go read the forums and go on the subreddit and do all this and start reading what people think. Now, there's a lot of speculation and conjecture that they tried this on a lot of people and it had never really been all that successful, just from tapes that you can collect and stuff like that. But just the way that game left you, where most games would leave you with some sort of decision to lie or to not lie, that game had its narrative, stuck to its narrative all the way to the very end, to the point where everybody, and I remember when you finished it, you were like, what the crap? What was that? They better finish that story. When I finished it, I was like, that story is finished.
Yeah,
Like,
I really want
we don't
more.
need to see anything else from that. And I thought that, I mean, that was just another layer to the water cooler-ishness of the ending. It wasn't just what had happened, but whether or not it merited more storytelling. And some people fall in line with like, well, we want to pick up in that Joel and Ellie story, but a lot of other people feel like that was what it should be. So that's mine. And no Russian.
We can all agree with no Russian. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and
That was in Modern Warfare 2, right?
yeah,
I never actually played that one. That's the one I missed.
just to share a little story about this. I remember I got that game at midnight, and I came back. I was in college at the time, and I played it, and I got to no Russian before I had to go to class, and I finished. No, I was in the middle of the mission when I had to leave to go to class, so I paused it and I left the room. And I was walking with a guy to class, and I was telling him about it because I was like, dude, it was crazy. I've never had to do anything like it in a video game, but like I'm undercover as I'm with this terrorist organization. I'm trying to infiltrate, and in order to prove myself, I have to go on this terrorist attack. And there was a guy that was in front of me that overheard me talking about it, and he turned around and laid into me about participating in a media that would require me to do that. I went to Bible college. People are weird at Bible college. But to me, it was kind of like Empty Vials talks about, not Empty Vials, Milky 513 talks about in this question of like, it really conjures up in you a question of, because you don't have to shoot anybody in no Russian.
Mm-hmm.
They don't make that very clear. And I just went in indiscriminately, just mowing everybody down. And I'm like, what does that say about me? That like I didn't even think twice about it. So those are the two moments that jump out the most to me. Ben?
Do you want to go next, or I can go
Go
next?
ahead.
Okay. I agree with both of those points. No Russian was really impactful, and Last of Us was. I mean, gosh, that game was amazing. But one part for me, a game that I'm really attached to, why I had such a fit about Lara Croft thinking she could take over this franchise. In Fallout 3, when you find out who your dad actually was, and you find out where you were born and what he was trying to do and the reason he was killed, like those that whole like narrative was really impactful, because you're in this game where games like that don't seem like they should have a great story like that. I mean, they have good story elements that are that are pushed aside in these different little cubbies of gameplay. But that whole game was like leading to like a big reveal and you're attempting to figure out what's going on, and trying to find out what's happening in this post-apocalyptic world, and just to come to that conclusion was really, really awesome. I don't remember talking to a lot of people about it. I just remember being really impactful about it. I know when I put them in the show notes, I said I don't know if this counts, but I don't remember talking to a lot of people about it. But it was just something really impactful to me, that like how the whole time you're assuming you're doing this stuff you're the main character, I guess, but you find out that you're not really important at all. I mean, your father was the one that was doing everything that was important. So,
so initially I didn't understand the question. Water cooler moment. I thought like you find a couple of guys just all having a chat in a game.
So that's why you wrote food nipple.
Yes. So at the end of Halo, the first Halo, when you're driving through the exploding ship, if you take a wrong turn and wind up in this detour down this hallway, you hear these grunts talking about how they want to get back up to the ship because they really miss the food nipple. And they're very hungry.
I can see that being a water cooler moment. You go around and talk about that at the water cooler.
I'm amused by many portions of this.
The grunts were hilarious in like the first Halo.
Yeah.
You never actually paid attention to them.
and you got birthday party too. That was awesome.
Mine, I can't really talk. Do you still own Metal Gear?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I'm still playing it.
Don't spoil it.
I'm not gonna talk about it. But the twist it's one of those things where you don't even really know if it's the real ending of the game or not. But
Probably not.
it's very possibly not. But I had questions at the very beginning of Metal Gear 5, The Phantom Pain. When you're playing through the prologue, Awakening. And there were things that just didn't really make sense to me. They were almost like glitches, but I wasn't sure what to make of them. It was like the first day the game came out, so I'm like, all right, whatever. And then they all get answered for me right there once I somehow unlocked that final mission, in which you go back basically and play through the prologue again. And then you get an extended cutscene after that, like the second half of the story. And I've been dying. I talked about it to one person who just really had no idea what I was talking about, so I didn't get that satisfaction.
even if
from
I
it.
beat it, that will be me.
Okay, but it's a twist that if you're really really familiar with the franchise, which I was, but I had never gone back and played like Metal Gear 1 and 2 back on the NES. It's a twist that has to deal with those games, and so it's not really something that many people, I guess, would see coming. I still really want to talk about it, but I don't know if you're ever going to finish that game or not.
Dude, I'm chipping away. Away. All righty.
I've got a real answer if I can do it real
yeah,
quick.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, you're
I had to think on the fly because I didn't understand what a water cooler moment was. All right, so did any of you play the Prince of Persia trilogy back on Xbox, original Xbox, GameCube, all that? All right, one of the best stories ever. I'm going to spoil the whole thing right now.
He is not a prince.
You've had years to play. So the first game starts out with the prince telling the story, and he says some people think that time is like a river moving in a steady flow from one point to another, but I've seen the face of time, and it's like an ocean just driven about in all these different directions, this chaos. And so he starts off his story. He's invading this place for his father's army, and he inadvertently releases the sands of time, and it what
I'm sorry. I was just you were talking about time being like a river, and I was thinking about dreams being like a river, ever changing as it flows.
I was thinking about the love being like a flower. Some say love.
He lets loose the sands of time. It turns everyone into these
It is a river.
into these sand monsters, and he's trying to undo this thing. And so he meets the princess of the kingdom that he was trying to invade, Farah, and the whole game's like an escort mission almost, except the person you're
Except it
escorting
doesn't suck.
Yeah,
Okay.
she actually is useful and like fires a bow and kills people, and you're like awesome. And so throughout the course of the game, you fall in love with this woman, but you get to the end of it, and
I've never fallen in love
with a woman.
yeah.
And so you get to the end, and you realize the only way to undo the damage is to put the sands of time back into this thing, but what that's going to do is it's going to turn back time so you never release them, and so you also never met this woman. And so the game ends with you're telling her the story. Time is like, some people think time's like a river, and she doesn't believe the story. She thinks it's all. He tells her the whole story, and then he tells her something that makes it clear that he knows more about her than he ought to if they've never met before. And then he leaves, and you're like, okay, whatever. Second game happens. It's about, since he messed with the timeline spawns this creature, the Dahaka, to come and kill him. And if you get all the secret stuff in the game, you unlock this secret ending where you kill the Dahaka and you're safe. Then the third game happens, and I can't remember why the sands of time are still an issue, but you meet Farah again, and she doesn't remember you because with the Dahaka, you turn the time back even further, so you never even told her the story in the first place. But you two fall in love again throughout the course of this game, and the last line of the game is, some people think that time is like a and so the whole thing was him telling this one big story, and it was just a neat way to
That's pretty cool. Yeah,
the people who played it,
I would love a game like
it was
that.
cool. Yeah.
I wish you wouldn't have spoiled it for me.
All right, well, let's get out of here very quickly. We are way over time.
Way over time.
So just let's just give our names today.
My name is Ben.
Larry, Seth,
Steven.
Larry, Alan, Hunt the second.
I'm Luke. This is the Player 3 podcast. Stay tuned for the After Party Lounge.
Hey, promo really quick. We're gonna be streaming Ben 7 to 11 with Ben in a couple weeks.
And if you play Destiny, the Black Spindle mission is live. Go do it.
Yes.
Have you done it?
Player 3 podcast.
No.
I'll shepherd you
We
if
are
you
the
need a
Player
shepherd.
Play 3 podcast.
Player 3 podcast.
P3P. All right.
I don't think we have time for my.
We don't have time for your question. So we will save
Table
your
it.
question.
We'll
for
table
next
it.
week.
We'll table it.
We will table it because we do need to get out of here. This is normally where we hang out with our viewers, but we got to get dinner and watch The Walking Dead.
We've been hanging out with you guys for 2 hours and 15 minutes, so
2.5 hours.
All right, so we're out of here. Later.
Bye.
Seth's telephone
Bye.
number 276